Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is James McCarthy.
My name is Ethan Skinner.
I'm Jody Kite.
Brady Davis.
Gentlemen, it's like we do this every week, except when someone steals my SD card. But you know, it is what it is.
Hey, you're not still like upset about anything.
I think he's going to consistently be upset about it.
I'm just gonna say this. It's like, I feel like we do good work, at least for our circle of friends.
Yeah.
Like and I consider the audience a nice little circle of friends. This is literal. Hopefully one day it'll be figurative, but you never know.
Yeah.
And I like. This is catharsis. I'm not spending $1,000 a month on a psychiatrist because I've got the three of you. That's how I look at this.
That's very true.
It gets things out of my head that I'm glad to get out of my head, and gives me like focus and order and all those other things. So
I don't know.
I guess
no pressure on us. Okay.
Yeah,
welcome to therapy on the Omnibus.
Well, welcome to Travelers on the Therapy Bus.
There we go.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, because one, he's venting to us, but at the same time, he's letting the inner Jay out, and I don't know if that's concerning or not.
Ethan, sweet summer child.
Ethan,
if you think this is
I've known Jay for quite a while. At this point, he's always inner Jay.
Yeah,
yeah,
almost
really is
all
no
the time.
Yeah. I have no valve. All the valves are broken, and it's just leaking out everywhere. It's just the way it is.
That is true.
But there you go.
He's blown a gasket seal for all of you
God.
motor heads out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for all of you users of amphetamines.
Yes.
We learned that in a previous episode.
Yes.
It was great. I did that question grouping specifically for him because I thought he would he eventually got it on the 1-pointer. I was very sad. I thought you were going to get on the 5 straight up and just slam dunk.
I like Motorhead okay, but I'm not like the biggest Motorhead fan, and I don't.
Somebody's making a Lemmy action figure.
I'm all for it.
Looks pretty
Pretty-
cool. I've seen
pretty
it.
rad.
For that.
Looks pretty cool.
There you go. So now that we've derailed minute 1,
Yes.
let's get it back on. Figure out what everybody's been doing, gentlemen. Whoever wants to start out, what you been doing?
Well, Brady had mentioned blowing a gasket or something like that. Recently, I had purchased a new vehicle because.
Nice.
Oh, right. That is a vehicle thing that I mentioned.
Yes. Good job, Brady.
See, I know.
Good
cars.
job for you acknowledging it, Ethan.
Good job on you acknowledging Ethan.
Thanks, man.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Jay, good job hosting. There you go.
Shit!
Let's get out there. But yeah, like the Jeep I've had for like the past 5-6 years is totally off the frizz. At any moment, the frame could be missing at some point.
The frame.
Well,
Yes,
hold on.
the
Okay.
frame.
Quick little story that I was witness to. So a friend of the show, Nicholas Krebs, went up. This was about a year ago. So now, give or take,
2-ish years
ago. Goes up to Ethan's vehicle. Is like, I'm gonna break into your car. It's like, joke's on you. It's locked, and it wasn't locked. So Krebs immediately got into the vehicle and like slammed the door shut. And the way Ethan ran, I think he thought that Nick was going to then hotwire the car and then just go joyriding. So they start pulling on each opposite end of the door.
This.
And the inner frame just decided nope. And
Abandon ship.
Yep,
I'm gone.
Yeah, literally. And so like the thing rattles. Like you had to close your door.
I had to lift up my inner door panel just to close the door.
Oh, Jesus.
That's an extra security feature then.
Yeah.
You should thank Nick for that.
Oh yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So so you have a new vehicle and everything's fine.
I have a
right?
new vehicle. Yes.
Everything is 100% okay.
Used to be fine.
What?
I had my brother drive the Jeep all the way from Harrisburg because that's where I got the Accord I got. And I get home before he did, about 11:30. I get a call from him saying, "Hey, I hope you're not busy right now. I had a tire blowout.
Oh,
Jesus! Wait, on your old vehicle?
On my Jeep. My Jeep had a tire blowout, so I had to get up at 11:30 at night, drive all the way to Wiggins. Why on earth would anyone want to go to Wiggins willingly? No idea.
We'd like to thank our 2 fans that view us solely from Wiggins, Mississippi.
And And also apologize for you being in Wiggins.
Seriously, move. Just move.
Yeah, you have like a Wendy's and that's it.
You've got 30 minutes above you. You got Hattiesburg, College Town. 30 minutes
So
below
sure's
you.
even like got something going on.
I make that drive quite a bit. It's longer than 30 minutes.
Is it?
But
Okay.
It's about 50.
But yeah,
Well, the way you drive,
So
Grandma.
a tire blew up.
Yeah, my tire blew up. I had to drive to Wiggins to grab my brother.
How many times have you driven with...
I like how you and I are having a
I
conversation.
have to
and
ask
they're
a
having
question.
conversation.
Why did you have to
Sorry,
like
Ethan,
drive
we're
up
not
there
giving you
when
your
your
time.
brother blew a tire? Was there not a spare tire for the vehicle?
Another funny thing.
Oh no!
I never mentioned it to you guys.
Did you prank your brother?
No.
Did you like? Hey, I'm gonna.
I wish I would have thought this
Hello,
out.
my
Then
name-
I have to drive 2 hours to go pick him up when it blows.
Hello,
Yeah,
my name is. Hello, my name is Ethan, and I'm going to stab my tire and then blow it out on my brother. Yeah, that's evil Ethan, ladies and gentlemen.
Why does Evil Ethan sound like a Highlander?
Like Christopher Lambert? What?
That was... Well, it was more like Raiden.
Oh, yeah, that part. Yeah. The fate of billions hangs in the balance.
I don't think so.
I love both y'all's perspective of evil Ethan.
There you go.
Yeah, we're continuing to derail you.
Remind me to mention
Raid.
Raiden later when we start talking about our main topic.
I know.
But
Yeah, I know exactly who you're referencing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had attempted
Oh,
putting.
shit. I'm sorry, Ethan. Shit. Reclaim your time. Shit.
He had attempted to put the spare
Two
on.
households,
and
both alike in dignity. In fair
This
Verona.
wasn't
No,
me.
okay.
This wasn't me this time.
he had attempted putting the spare on. The spare is also flat.
Oh no!
Like the inner tubing of it has a hole in it.
Oh.
So I have to replace the spare.
Oh.
So 3 round trips to Wiggins later,
Oh god!
I got my Jeep back home,
man.
and the Accord is really good on gas. Only took 3/4 of a tank.
What you just described is how they would make the Warriors today.
Yeah.
It would just be 3 round trips to Wiggins, Mississippi.
So the new vehicle's okay though,
Oh,
right?
I love the new vehicle.
Okay.
I love it.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Other than that, nothing really.
That was it.
Nothing,
that was
nothing
that
as
was enough.
interesting.
That was enough.
Nothing as
that was
interesting.
That was pretty interesting. 3 round trips to
so,
Wiggins.
Jesus,
so
that's
interesting. Me
terrible.
and Brady started a conversation in between ourselves. And yeah, you should have led off with the. So I had to do 3 round trips to Wiggins in the dark.
Yeah, that would have been that would have captured him.
right the fuck
Yeah,
up.
it's
Yeah.
like
Hook him at the beginning.
I was waiting for the Wendigo to show up.
Yeah.
And then the mist rolled in.
Yeah.
Fucking the Skinwalker just runs towards us.
Was it the mist or the fog?
Ooh,
Was it-
the mist?
The Mist.
Way better than Ghost Pirates. However, I didn't like the ending rewrite, but whatever.
That's
it
my
was always
favorite-
the most depressing ending
That's
ever.
that's a sad ending.
That's my-
Because it's not the way the book ended.
That's
the
my
short
favorite
story.
part of The Mist.
the short story.
That is
didn't end
literally
that
my
way.
favorite
That
part
is-
because that was you never see that in a Hollywood movie to go
Right.
that boldly dark.
Like what would Japanese cinema do here?
Yeah.
They would just
What
turn
would
it-
Russian cinema
Oh
do?
yeah.
Russian cinema would start out with everyone dead.
That is true. That is true. And then it's just one guy weeping for 3 hours. Yeah. Welcome to Mistcast, everybody.
Yes, except for Stugotsky's like Roadside. Well, not it was Stalker for him, but it was based off of Roadside.
I still need to see Stalker.
Stalker's good.
I bought Stalker and I still haven't.
I
gotten
really
around to
wish
watching
that they kept the green cut, and by that I mean the film that they filmed it the first time through had this weird like green tinge to it. They don't know if it was because of the environment or the film stock.
Yeah.
I kind of would like to see that.
Well,
Gotcha.
we're pretty sure that Stalker gave Tarkovsky cancer.
It gave several people horrible
that.
medical
Oh
conditions.
my lord.
Yeah.
Jesus.
because they filmed in areas
Yeah,
that they
Tarkovsky-
probably shouldn't have been
Yeah,
filmed.
Tarkovsky-
Chernobyl?
Yeah. Well, no,
That
was before
but that was
Chernobyl.
before that. But
Yeah.
no, Tarkovsky, that man, God bless him, he created some great cinema, but he was snake bit in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
There's this one movie I can't remember that he did, but there's a house burning scene. So they built
the mirror.
the mirror. They build a house, they
Oh,
burn
yeah.
it. The film stock couldn't catch it, and they lost an entire day. So they had to rebuild the house,
Oh.
relight that motherfucker on fire.
In
and
all
then
honesty,
they got
that
it.
is a fucking beautiful shot.
It's an
so-
amazing. No, it's like you want to talk about art through adversity. That's the pinnacle.
Like it
of
was worth it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's yeah. I haven't watched the whole movie, but I've seen that shot, and that shot is like phenomenal. Yeah. Okay.
Who's next on their weekly doings?
Okay, well, I didn't do too much that I can remember. I don't know why. Maybe it's the stresses of everyday life. Who the fuck knows? But I'm gonna tell. So I'm gonna use my time to tell everybody something that I found today that was funny. The funniest fucking thing I've seen in I don't know how long. Do me a favor, everybody. Look up 2 fucking videos on YouTube. Look up 1 when you play deathcore at a kid's concert, and 2 when you're overqualified for your job. You're gonna see this.
Who's the YouTube users? Are they both different?
George Collier.
Collier.
I don't know if that has anything to do with the
Shout out to George Collier for making our most miserable co-host happy. That's amazing.
I'm the most miserable co-host. Jesus.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see something. You're gonna see a giant red cat playing drums.
I've seen
And
that.
it's called Nyango Star.
It's pretty awesome.
It's this Japanese. I think it's a whole kids band.
Yes,
it's a
I've
mascot.
seen that.
A mascot or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
They play metal.
Yeah.
But no, they play kid songs, and then the drummer goes the
nuts.
fuck off.
Yeah.
He just goes ham on the drum set.
Like ridiculously, like super high level deathcore drum, like hardcore metal drumming, and it is fucking hilarious. And there are music notations through it, and they are so fucking. There's one part where he does a drum fill, and the notation underneath all of the notes and everything is drum fill so clean you can eat off of it.
Right.
That's great.
They also have chapter breaks through it. It's only they're only 3 minutes, but the chapter breaks are also fucking hilarious. There's one part that's just literally what the fuck.
The full video from the actual person who uploaded it is 20 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a 3-minute video of just like the hardcore drum part, but there's a 20-minute version of the video.
This dopey looking fucking cat.
It's a huge ass costume.
It's a huge ass just the fact that they're playing in this costume is very impressive.
It's very, very impressive.
But it is so fucking funny when they're singing. There's also like subtitles because they're singing in Japanese. They're singing about a futon being cold. Well, it being cold, and they don't want to get out the futon to change the air. And every once in a while, the singer will go, whatever the Japanese word for freezing, and then he starts. So fucking.
You're not the most miserable person in the cast, but I wanted to sell how joyous.
What's the other video?
I don't
about?
see you giggle this way ever.
It's just them doing another song.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just two. It's the same. It's basically the same thing, but it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Both of them.
That's some good
I laughed
stuff.
my ass off today.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah. Go and experience joy in your life and watch those.
It's really
videos.
difficult to find random YouTube stuff like that nowadays, and you know already not know about it.
Yeah, if that's old and you're like, oh,
it's not that old.
This
but
is the deep YouTube. What the fuck are you
then
talking about? Everybody knows this.
Then revisit something to give you joy. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
It's not old, but it is really hard to find random shit like that, even if you've seen a lot of shit.
I am amazed that just came up. I don't know what the fuck I've been watching that made that pop
Every
up.
so often, the algorithm will just pick out a golden oldie and just throw it at you.
Yeah.
Like I still get video suggestions of Leroy and Satan just randomly.
Wow. That's from 10 years ago. That's pretty awesome.
Okay then.
How long will this awkward pause go?
I don't know, host. How long will it go?
I don't know. Let's sit in here like we're Japanese wrestling fans.
All right, long enough.
Okay, there you go.
All right, what I've been doing, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Do you have the thing that automatically cuts out pauses?
Oh no, I manually do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut out about 20 seconds of that 2 hours that we just had.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be great. Everybody's
Awesome.
Yeah. That way it's not inobtrusive to our audience.
Yeah, that's a little inside baseball for everybody out there.
So I have
Jody, what have you been doing?
I have a retro set up in one of the many rooms in my house, and
In your 50 room mansion.
right, yeah, I got so many rooms. Actually, I have a den, and it's my it's not great. It's like 10 feet by 8 feet. It's not huge.
Den?
It's more like a closet.
A den isn't supposed to be large. It's
yeah.
supposed to be
one-bedroom
cozy.
apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he has a den, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a bathroom, and it's all the same room.
It's not quite that bad.
And anyway, I have a setup in the corner with a CRT TV to play retro gaming. So I also have a analog VHS player. I'll be getting into that a little bit later. But I had my Xbox. I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and set my Xbox up while I'm getting everything else set up so I can do what I need to do in this room. And I started playing some games and was reminded of how terrible a lot of those original Xbox games were. I played a game I hadn't played that I had called, it was the first Pirates of the Caribbean game. We were talking about licensed games last week. And that game is terrible. I played it for 5 minutes, went never playing this again.
I can imagine. Many of those licenses.
No, because the camera controls were the D-pad and the movement controls were the left analog stick.
That's terrible.
So I was like, tapping out immediately. No thanks. Then I played WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
2K21?
No, WrestleMania 21 on the original Xbox from 2005. And one cool thing about the original Xbox is, for one thing, the system, as far as like hardware is concerned, way more powerful than the PS2 because it was basically a computer. Like it still looks clean on a lot of those games, like Republic Commando and stuff like that, which was the Clone Wars game where you got to play Boba Fett clone or whatever with the squadron.
I heard Bubba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Now listen here, you're coming with me dead or alive.
But because of how well made the system was,
he's no good to me.
The games look clean. One funny thing though about the original Xbox is you could actually burn music onto the hard drive and use it for certain games, like WrestleMania 21 and some of the other wrestling games.
Oh yeah, it was the first console with like the hard drive.
So I just for shits and giggles, I made a character. It looked awful. Because, but it was more playable than 2K19.
2K20.
Low bar.
So I went through the music that was on, because this is a used Xbox. Like I bought it a couple years ago for I got lucky and got it for $10 at a thrift store somewhere.
Oh.
The music on there was the opening theme for Digimon Digital Monsters.
Oh shit.
Okay,
you
just did the whole chorus.
That was on there.
Digimon Digital Monsters.
That was on there.
Digimon are the champions, sir.
All-Star.
That's a lie.
All-Star by Smash Mouth was on there.
Okay, of course, of course.
Yeah,
Michael Jackson's one of his last albums was on there.
Oh,
Invincible.
Jesus.
I think so. Maybe the one before that.
I know two.
There was blood on the dance floor.
And then T.I.'s second or third album was on there.
Oh, okay.
was
what
like,
a strange
Yeah.
amalgamation of songs.
I have no idea what's happening here. I played that for a couple of hours, and it was just too difficult. The control schemes were so bad on some of those games back then. But I ended up playing 3 hours of Amped, which is a snowboarding game.
Oh, yeah.
Which was pretty fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
There's a lot of good snowboarding games.
I was more in the
SSX
Tricky.
SSX.
Yeah, I was more of a SSX Tricky fan, but there was also 1080 snowboarding on
1080 was the one that I played.
I like Cool Borders 2. Cool Borders 2 on the original PlayStation 1 was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's ever been a snowboarding game that I've picked up and not enjoyed.
I will tell you one. What is it called? It's Steep, I think, by Ubisoft. It was free a few months ago.
Is that the one where you can have a gliding suit that morphs into a snowboard? Or something
no,
like that?
it's the one that's DRM only and it's online only and it's not fun to play.
Oh, that's terrible.
And the controls are awful.
Uh-huh.
And it's Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Like this generation Ubisoft.
Oh.
So I did that, and then for my birthday Monday, all the guys plus extra guys, I ran a game of Dread.
No, never mind. I was thinking of the other thing that we did. Never mind.
And that was a good time. What do you guys think of the game?
I enjoyed
liked
it.
it.
We had a good time.
We had.
I think that Jenga tower, like the blocks are too tight.
Yeah, on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like older Jengas kind of cling together a little bit more, from what I could tell, and it's just like some of those.
This was the
should
one
have
from
been
the
easier.
shop.
It
right?
was.
Yeah.
So
It
this is one
was.
that's been used like a lot.
I would actually prefer the generic version of Jenga for it over Jenga because again the blocks were too
also
tight.
like this one. Like every time a child is at McNarb's, they're gonna play with
right.
this.
The blocks
like,
were a little warped,
I'm
but I
surprised
think
that we even had enough blocks.
that lended to a lot of people dying though.
Yeah.
In Dread, when you pull a block from the Jenga tower, you pull blocks in Dread instead of rolling dice whenever you want to do an action. And so when you pull a block and the tower falls, your character dies.
Yeah.
And so that happened pretty frequently once things started.
Many times.
Yes.
Once we actually got into playing the game and outside of Corn Dog 7.
Yes.
We had the game
Put
set
us in a mall in the 80s. We had to fucking go to Corn Dog 7.
Specifically the 1980 version of the Singing River Mall.
Yes.
Because most of us knew the layout.
We pulled one out for you, Singing River.
Yeah,
Mall.
we pulled one out, and we knew the layout of that mall pretty well. So
y'all knew it. I was just making shit up.
Right. It lended. Itself.
Most of the stuff you made up was in there. So
yeah, there was a lot of stuff you made up.
There was a lot of hive minding that was in there.
That's very true. We didn't utilize the fountains except for the one time where Ethan's character fell onto one of them.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool, I thought. I made it audible because Jay decided that his character was just going to be weird the whole time.
Weird that is putting it lightly.
He uses the reasoning that his character couldn't use his skill. Most of the characters couldn't use their skills.
Yeah.
Except
I put tracking on mine. What the fuck are you talking about? I couldn't use my skill.
You tracked down several
I didn't
mannequins.
track down shit.
You found them though, so I mean you were have to be tracking them.
Not on purpose.
The evil bed was mannequins.
I remember slats of wood being available at Sears. Not a whole section area of it, but you could. All I wanted to do was crucify.
You remember
mannequins.
a much later Sears than I remember, because they did not have wood in Sears.
Yeah, they had some slats of wood.
That must have been a very specific time because I also don't remember wood. At Sears.
I do not remember them having wood at Sears.
I think of all of our character skills, mine was the only one that was actually used for lock picking.
Yeah, because you actually made sense with your character.
Right. Yeah. That was it.
We just all chose random like somebody put plumbing, I think.
Yeah. The preamble for character creation was everyone had their life planned out to work at Ingalls Shipbuilding. And so they all wanted trades for stuff that would have made.
Tell me that.
Oh, I was not told that.
I was just there. This was decided by 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
This was decided by everyone else in the room that wasn't Jody.
We had a welder, an electrician.
I was like, whatever, thinking to myself, this is not going to help you, but okay.
Well, going further than that. So the reason why we didn't tell Gomez, our friend Christopher Gomez was there. Our friend Kevin Gallo was also there. Kevin Gallo actually was in on the
joke.
On the joke. Because it's like, okay,
they wanted Gomez to make a dwarf warrior is what they wanted.
No, half orc barbarian, sir.
Close enough.
And wanted to make it so we would have had goth Votech kids from South Mississippi and half orc barbarian.
He could have done it, but he was like, I was like, write down any skill, and he looked at the paper for 5 minutes, or longer. I was like, pick a skill, man.
And he went with culinary arts.
I'm a cook.
Culinary arts.
Yeah.
It actually worked out because he made corn dogs.
Yes.
He made corn dogs.
Well, we needed that. That was the most important skill.
Yeah.
So we needed somebody to make the goddamn
Nobody
corn
went into
dogs.
Spencer's, which I found hilarious.
So one of my favorite YouTubers right now is a man by the name of Mandalore Gaming. He has a podcast with a bunch of guys called Please Stop Talking, which I think is one of the best names for a podcast ever.
That's pretty good.
I think I've heard of that podcast.
Yeah, and he was telling a story one time about when he was at summer Boy Scout camp, and I based my character off of the Boy Scout that almost killed him. Yeah, so that was where the basis for the story came from. That one.
Okay,
it's an amazing story. I'm gonna link you gents the story of it. I think I've tried actually showing it to you one time, Jody. That character to me is like when we I'll be cool. I'll be a goth kid, and I'll just be like
Jay ended up acting out that he was worshiping some deity that didn't exist from the Lovecraftian mythos.
Well, even going further than that, it's like it always kept switching because I was a pretentious goth poser, and I just accidentally stumbled into being his acolyte on Earth.
And then I decided to make the game more interesting when Kevin decided to use a flamethrower or a blowtorch or something like that.
Blowtorch.
A blowtorch on Jay's character. I decided, he's on fire, but he's still fine.
Yeah. It was great. I enjoyed
So
it.
it was fun.
There was a lot of twists and turns.
There was a
I
little-
wish we would have had more time, but that's
Right.
I wish you could have got the Junji Itoist out of it as you possibly could.
I was working on it.
Yeah.
Like we had to rush a little bit because pretty much everybody was having to leave at 10 o'clock. So
yeah, because your friend Phil
He had to
get
leave
back
at
home.
9.
Yeah, and Kevin had to get as much sleep as he could because he had a flight going out. I want to say it's 6.
right.
And then I had work that night.
And you had work
Right.
that night. Yeah.
I think Dread is a perfect game for a situation like that because so we have 8 people plus person running the game. So we had 9 people. Character generation took less than 5 minutes for most everybody because you only had like 5 or 6 things you had to write down. One of those was your name. I didn't really get to dial into fears much because, again, we didn't really have a lot of time. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff I decided not to use, like the family background stuff and things like that. Just no time for that. Mm-hmm. I think that's where they get the 3 to 5 hours if you want to have like a very like fleshed out one shot. But again, it's pretty much good for one shots also, especially when you have like most of the group are friends that haven't seen the other friends in the group for a while. So there's a lot of like funny, haha, bullshit moments that you're going to want to do and just have fun, which is what the whole point of the process is anyway. Yeah. So I think Dread's perfect for that. I think if you're trying to run a real game, that scenario, somebody, maybe anybody, could have gotten frustrated that the game wasn't moving along. Yeah. But it was
we
just
did spend quite a bit of time.
Everybody was just there to have fun, including myself. So that's what I think Dread's perfect for that kind of thing.
I think in character to this day, as old men, and of course this what is just a little baby. Okay, there we go.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I think if we broke into a mall, I think we would be doing all of the same things that we did in there.
Yeah,
minus the stores that no longer exist.
Yeah. Right.
We break
like
into
all
Belk's.
I would break into Aunt Anne's over in Edgewater and just those little pretzel pups, which are like hot dogs with pretzels wrapped around them. Yeah.
Ice cream parlor.
If we broke into the Sawmill Square in Laurel, Mississippi, we could actually go to
the Corn Dog 7. I've been there.
I think that's the last Corn Dog 7
in
America.
It is.
We need to do a special cast from Corn Dog
7.
It's a 2 hour. It's 2 hours one way.
Yes.
So
yeah, I know.
Corn Dog 7.
Yes.
Hear us out.
Yeah,
I've made trips to almost there quite a bit.
Right.
Corn Dog 7 in Laurel, Mississippi. We want sponsorship.
Me and my buddy Sean Broom took a trip up there just to go to Corn Dog 7.
Yeah.
And while we were up there, we're like, "Is there anything else up here?"
No, it's Laurel. No.
But they did have in the mall a place where you could rent videotapes and original Nintendo cartridges.
Yeah, for a little while they still had like a CD music store when I was in. This was around like 2005-06, because I went to college at Jones County Junior College, which is in Ellisville, which is like 15 minutes from Laurel. So I would go over there sometimes, but they used to have they used to have a Walden Books. Then this is in 2006.
Right.
People. Walden Books didn't really exist. They also had like an old, like a store that sold CDs.
Right.
The Sears that's right next to the Corn Dog 7 looks like it's from the 80s. Like I swear to God.
There's wood paneling all over this fucking place.
It is filled with wood.
It's not even 80s. It's like late 70s.
Yeah. It is like going through a time machine.
It is. We'll be going through a time machine later.
Yeah.
Jay, what have you been up to?
I'm going to keep this very brief. SummerSlam, me and Jody watched it on Saturday.
That is true.
B+ show. I liked everything up until the end. I would also say that the Liv Morgan Ronda Rousey match was not good because I don't think they were given enough time.
And the finish was
wonky.
Yeah.
The main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, was great until it was psychotically overbooked ending.
At the end, yeah.
The match involved a tractor, and honestly, it was used perfectly. It was just everything after the at the ultimate tractor spot, where I was like, "Stop! I can't believe this."
The bucket did not pin anyone, and I got upset. That's the only thing I
like
wanted.
that they gave you a swerve though, because they made you think that the only time it was going to be used was when he platformed off of it on the Roman, which looked cool actually. Yeah. But no, they destroyed the ring.
But again, B+ show to the point where the Raw after it had 2.2 million viewers, which is the first time Raw has gone over 2 million viewers
in a long time
this year, and probably going even deeper into last year.
Yeah,
It was
I
good
think
to see Bailey and Dakota Kai.
that was really
and
cool.
Io Shirai back.
Io Sky.
Io
Io
Sky.
Io Shirai.
Yeah.
Io Sky.
Io Shirai.
Io
Yeah.
Sky.
Io Shirai.
Shirai
Sky.
Sky.
I think this is like probably the instance where it would be all right
We
for
need to
them
keep doing the fight while he's trying to stop it.
just to use a first name because Io it kind of works
Yeah.
as just a first name basis, like Bailey,
Yep.
Io.
You know, they
Asuka.
changed the spelling to IYO because Americans don't know how to say
That's
Japanese
awful.
names. Yeah.
Even though she's goddamn it.
Yeah, I know.
One thing I'd like to see is them do something different with a ring now. Because they've already had one collapse. They've already had ropes break, people shatter the ring, crawl out of the ring like Undertaker, Big Show fall through the ring. Brock Lesnar destroys a ring with a bulldozer. Let's see what happens next. What are they going to do next to the ring?
I'm calling it Clash at the Castle. They're going to raise it with an elevated ring now.
That's not going to happen for a while. But that might happen.
I'm hoping for a Cyberpunk 2077 virtual ring. Like they have to fight each other, and then they have to jack into the net, and then they fight each over the net. And then then you get knocked out of the net, and then you take and you have wrestling.
I think
I'm thinking just two wrestlers with VR goggles on swiping. It's like the blindfold match from back in the day, but dumber.
I'm calling this right now. Next SummerSlam, if Bray Wyatt is back in WWE because of Paul Levesque, he's going to take a chainsaw from underneath the ring and cut it right in two.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt.
That's a lot of cutting.
Yep.
They need a really
It's going to
good
be
chainsaw
it's
for
going to be
that.
pre-cut somewhere.
Somebody else will probably be back in WWE because of Triple H.
Also,
Someone being
welcome
gone.
to Whiskey and Wrestling West Coast.
West Coast, yes.
There you go. So I did that. The boys from Birmingham, Karen Jarrett, and Omar Sharif came down, and they had some fun time.
Wow.
Let's try this again.
No
So
deal.
Kevin Gallo, he was here. There
Yeah,
you go.
he was.
Yeah. And then Kevin Shelton and Jared Hubbard. Kevin Gallo from the Dallas crew. Christopher Gomez, we ain't seen his gypsy ass in a long time, so it was good to see that. We all had some good times this weekend. We played some good games. Blow in the Clock Tower, Letters from Whitechapel. It was a lot of fun. We also recorded the Supercast, and I'm saying this as a promise to the travelers and to the passengers. I will eventually get this thing edited, but Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Just y'all's half, y'all's half of the table was about 4 gigs. And then our half was like 3.5 gigs. So, yeah. It's
I don't
gonna
know
be-
what that is in time length.
That's
But
all combined, it's 2 hours, but it's 8 tracks. It's a master and 7
okay.
separate tracks.
what a nightmare.
Yeah.
I will get this done for you all because you deserve it.
I'm glad we didn't talk about anything like super topical during that.
We
didn't-
had to keep it
didn't-
light.
Yeah, we like. Hell, I would like to call that weekend non-topical weekend. Like
No, people were passionate as fuck about what they were talking about, though.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I think we.
Oh,
did,
yeah,
I think
no.
we did very good.
It was a lot of fun.
Pat ourselves on
I'm
the back.
excited to hear this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we said earlier, we shouted.
You
out
won't
even.
have a moment to breathe because at any given time somebody is talking constantly
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
and talking over
we had
people.
7 people. So
Yeah, we had 7 people.
Yes.
But it was an enjoyable experience for sure.
Yes, it was hosted by JL Kite of Theorology. I was very
Well,
very fun.
much like last week was
Hosted
mostly hosted
strong.
by me and not Jay, even though he was the host. Holder definitely took up the reins for most of that, and I'm glad that he did because I definitely needed help during that fucking shit show at some points.
Yeah, it was like 10 seconds before it went off the rails.
Yeah, it was great though.
that.
Good time. It was a fun shit show.
Good times were had by all.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
So yes, look forward to that in the future. That will be a special edition of this podcast whenever I feel it's ready.
Yeah, just whenever.
He's gonna like chip away at it like weekend by weekend until he gets it
like-
done.
I'm going to get minute 1 to minute 5 today, and that's it.
We're gonna get like a long, rambling, multi-syllabic scream from our chat, and it's okay. Jay must be working on the Supercast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. There you go. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending a little time figuring out what we've been doing because Lord knows we didn't, but it was a good time had by all. Ladies and gentlemen, no feedback this week. You all seem to be very peaceful with us, so I very greatly appreciate that because I don't think my heart could handle any more heartache coming from the Silence Your Cell Phone boys who were just like dropping elbows on us with all the stuff that they think that we're dumb about. Well, that's okay. We live, we deal, and we respond.
We kicked out.
So if you have any passenger feedback, please email us at Travelers on the Omnibus. That's 1L, Travelers on the Omnibus at gmail.com. If you are a viewer on Spotify, you also have psychic abilities, so that's pretty good. But if you're a listener on Spotify, please engage in our polls and questions that we have for every episode. Oh yes, and we're available on Saga, SAGA, which stands for Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, and Apple.
When you said that, I literally forgot that we called it that, and I thought that, is this another streaming service that I don't know about?
No, it's
he's going to keep calling it Saga because he's going to hope we're going to remember all the platforms we're on, but it's not going to work.
Man, that's the big
I'm
hope.
hoping to go to Sagas because eventually I do want Stitcher, but we'll do it. And if we get Spreaker, then it'll be Sagas.
Cool.
Saggy ass.
Sagas.
Yeah, Sagas. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our main topic. We're going back to the theater, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't do a watch along all together. We all took this one up separately. However, one of my probably maybe my favorite cult movie of all time, but one of my favorite movies just in general of all time. We are talking about the 1979 release, The Warriors, specifically first in theaters on February 9th, 1979, based off of the novel of the same name by Saul Urich, based off of, not a complete retelling. That in and of itself, that book was also based off of the classical Xenophon's and Anabasis. I got it right. I almost said Anabasis, but I did. But Xenophon's Anabasis, which was a story of Greek soldiers caught behind Persian lines trying to get home, which now in 1979. Then in 1979. I've gone back in time, baby.
Oh, shit.
But in 1979, that is the main crux of the story of the Warriors. A gang from Coney Island is caught in the Bronx and has to go 30 miles through all enemy territory to try to get back home. And do they succeed? Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it here in a little bit. Yeah.
I found it interesting that, with the exception of one, most of the quote-unquote gangs in this film were specifically around 9 people or less in each group.
Yeah.
Like around that.
Well, I know they say it in the beginning, like the whole thing was you're supposed to come to the conclave with 9 members.
Yeah, with 9 members unarmed.
Right.
Okay, but before we really get into this, let's all just fucking get this shit out of our system. Warriors, come out to play.
We're going to mention this now, and then we're going to go a little bit more depth when it comes down to that portion of the show. But that is David
Patrick.
Well,
if you know anything about the Warriors, you've heard that. And I know
David
somebody's going to be waiting for us to say that. And I don't want us to continually somebody be bringing
perfectly
that up.
Perfectly spoofed by Puff Daddy in the Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good song.
That is a really good song, yes.
One of Biggie's best verses.
We'll go back to that when we get back to the ending. So, again, directed by Walter Hill, produced by Lawrence Gordon, and distributed by Paramount. This was, I believe the cost on this was $4 million to make. It made about $3 million in its first weekend. It made its money back at about around $20 million. However, it was pulled prematurely because a bunch of gangs got it. Oh, hey, you're a gang, we're a gang. Let's just beat the shit out of one another. And so you'd have gang fights at your gang movie, and also people were tagging theaters and things like that. Paramount actually released theaters from, if they bought the movie or they leased out the movie to show in their theater, they actually released them from that early if you didn't want to have to deal with that. Oh, wow. So that's a little thing about I think that's what cut into its popularity back then. I also think there was a moralistic tinge to movie criticism around that time, that unless you were doing something like, Chinatown, The Godfather, something like that, where
you had a message defining,
where it was cleaner, where it was cleaner. Like this movie is very 70s
dirty,
grimy.
Yeah, this is
very
like
dirty.
I was telling everybody.
And I mean that in the highest praise possible.
Movies that ever 70'd.
It's pretty 70s. Like I compared it to Nighthawks off mic, and it's got a lot of that feel.
Like you almost have to. If there might be some people who I can say, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about in this movie because they use so much slang in this movie.
Brady and I were talking briefly before the recording, and I mentioned that it's 70s almost like Chinatown, and I don't mean because Chinatown set more in the 30s,
right?
But the way the Chinatown was filmed is a very 70s movie. But if you want to talk about penultimate 70s movies, or when you think of the 70s in movie, Saturday Night Fever to me is what comes to mind.
That's also a very dirty movie. A lot of people don't realize how grimy that movie is.
But I think Paramount was expecting another Saturday Night Fever, and they got something completely different, in my opinion, on that. Because Saturday Night's more about the disco culture, so there is a bit more. I want to say like rhythm and hum. Like there's a bit more brightness to it, even though that is.
I think it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 with his like actual street and home life compared to the disco, the fake happiness that's happening over at the disco during that.
Watch
time.
my hair.
Yeah. That movie's like really dark. If you haven't seen it, by the way, there's some dark shit that happens in Saturday Night.
The bridge scene. The bridge scene.
Yeah, the bridge scene is the darkest part for sure.
But
yeah.
Another shout out a few of the actors. Michael Beck plays Swan. He ultimately becomes the lead actor in the movie. David Patrick Kelly, Warriors. He played Luther, the leader of the Rogues. James Remar is Ajax. I know Jody's going to mention a brief thing about James Remar later, but we're going to save that from right now. Deborah Van Valkenburg plays Mercy. She is the female lead in the movie that we meet only about, I would say, like close. I don't want to say the halfway point, but like
somewhere around that.
2/5 in, we
somewhere around that.
It's like the 30-minute mark.
30 minute mark. Yeah.
Right.
And also for the longest time, I always thought that the backup leader of the Gramercy Riffs, the one that's there after they shoot Cyrus, I always thought that was one of the Jacksons. Just because the glasses and the way he's staring, just like I thought he was a member of the Jackson.
That was every time where they updated him and he was just staring straight ahead. Somebody would just whisper into his ear,
or it's like he's like a really buff Stevie Wonder.
Maybe,
like
that's possible.
So if I may, let me set up the beginning of this film,
Absolutely.
if it's
Go
okay.
for it.
All right. So the Warriors are part of around 200 or so individual gangs. I'm not specifically from New York, specifically from Brooklyn, or is it?
Oh no, it's all five.
It's all five boroughs.
Yeah, he specifically calls out all five boroughs.
So they're there, and there are just a bunch of random gangs that are there, some of which you meet later on. Outside of the, over the top ludicrousness of, if that's not even a word, the ridiculous over the top characters that are like based off of some silly stuff as far as the gangs go, it's pretty gritty, and it's definitely like a good representation of how dangerous New York was at that time.
Yeah.
Because up until probably like the mid to late 80s, there was crime was real bad. I mean, it's bad anyway, but it was really bad during that time period because, as Cyrus says, when he starts getting everybody together, when he makes his speech, he's like, "Can you dig it? There's only 20,000 cops in the city, and there are 60,000 of us."
Yeah.
Pretty much like implying that the gangs could take over the entire city of New York.
If only you'd stop fighting.
If we uphold the truce.
Right.
And it's like, borough by borough, we will take our turf.
We will take all the turf, and they'll have to pay us, money to protection money or whatever.
Yeah.
He's giving this big speech. You're given like a red herring at the beginning almost of the timid warrior guy. I can't remember his name. The
Rembrandt,
yeah,
the artist,
the artist guy, where he kind of like looks kind of shady for a minute because he's kind of like getting up close in the front, and he looks like he's kind of like Weasley. And then you see the gun getting passed, and the great gang leader is shot in the middle of everything that's happening.
Specifically, like, there's no mystery for the audience who shot Cyrus.
Yeah.
Luther from the Rogue shoots Cyrus.
Right.
And then Fox from the Warriors sees him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, he's the one that shot Cyrus.
Right.
But we never get to get that chance because as soon as I just want to add one quick thing to the opening scene. So that was actually shot in Van Cortlandt Park in New York. There were actual gang members out there. There were also undercover police officers dressed as gang members.
Right.
There was also Paramount's Studios' own security was there, who had a bit more leeway in what they could do with the gang people. I love the shooting of that scene.
Oh yeah,
it's the closest thing you're going to get to a Messiah character in a movie like this. Just Cyrus is so good at that. They do repeat the cut of him at the very end saying, "Can you dig it?" They repeat it twice.
Okay,
I think one because of the delivery,
right?
How it was done, and just kind of get the whole like panoramic.
Also, another thing that's very interesting about the setup for what happens right before he gets shot is there's thousands of gang members like hanging out in the park, and you see some cop cars roll up without their lights on, and they don't do anything until after the shot, right?
And you think it's going to be the cops that is what sets everything off, and it's not. Again, it's after Cyrus is given this speech, and you think, okay, this is like okay, this is like the joining of all the tribes. Like, again, it's why I'm saying the messianic figure.
Right.
He's getting all the tribes unified again and like to fight for one cause. And then he gets shot. Great stunt. To go there and then crashing into the boards underneath there. The way it was shot, the slow-mo on it.
There's some
perfect
solid
scene.
stunt work.
It made me think for a second, if I hadn't already seen the film, that the cops were in on it, but they never really lean into that.
No, they don't. So Fox sees that, and then Luther's got it was the Warriors. The Warriors shot
The
Cyrus.
leader guy goes to check on Cyrus.
Cleon. Cleon goes to check on Cyrus. He gets fingered for it, and then he's brutally murdered by the use of the atomic elbow, circa 1978 Dusty Rhodes.
He does some straight up.
He kicks a couple of guys.
They just get him in a circle,
and then they just elbow the shit out of him,
and go take him to the pay window, baby. And it was great. I was glad that Dusty Rhodes could get some stuff.
And after all that talk of like uniting, even after the shooting, there's like 3 cop cars and 20,000 gang members just like beat it.
Yeah. Because nobody will stand up for anybody else, and they're more worried about. Again, they've seen like the guy who's going to bring it all together get shot, so there is no trust for anybody.
Right.
No immediate truce.
Right.
Anymore.
Now the thing is, he gets beaten down, and he knows that they're being accused of it. But the other members of the Warriors do not find out until about halfway through the movie.
Yeah, so everybody's escaping, trying to beat feet, and like they think they're gonna have a problem back because the truce is broken.
Right.
Well, in actuality, what ends up happening is the backup leader for the Gramercy Rifts goes, "I want them dead. I want all these so-called warriors dead."
Right.
So they send out, and they send it out in the coolest way possible.
That bus.
The DJ that gets the message out to all the gangs. Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Like
that was
the
cool.
subtlety in which they get the message across, the music that they play, nowhere to go for the Warriors.
Most of the music in this movie is very good.
And I misremembered. I thought there was more of her in the movie, but there was only like I think 3, maybe 4 times.
Basically after every little sort of because it's basically a series of vignettes of them trying to get home.
Right. Because at one point pretty early,
a gang, and then they have to deal with that, and then she comes on and gives everything an update.
And they slowly get broken up too.
Yeah.
Like pretty early on, like where they're
actually no. There's the one big break like between the two what becomes the 2 groups
3 and
of
4.
warriors.
Yeah. The 3 and 4.
I just very briefly, I want to say Lynn Thigpen, who was the chief in the game show that was on PBS for Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. That's the DJ.
Okay.
I was trying
really?
I knew. I was looking through the IMDb and I couldn't find. And I couldn't find out. I've heard that voice, and I've
sounds
seen
familiar.
That part.
Right.
She has
You never see her face. You never see
the bottom part
her
of her
whole
face
face.
is very
recognizable.
It's very recognizable. I was like, I've seen her. I've heard that voice. And I was looking through IMDb and I couldn't find it out. But now that you've said that, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, of course.
Like, and in one of the most velvet smooth voices. Like, if she never worked as a DJ, I couldn't tell because it's what you would hear over the radio in the 70s.
Yeah, it was very
fantastic.
Cool.
Like, her alone, like you never see her fully on camera,
right?
But her presence is over that whole movie.
So we see them fleeing the park and. What's the first instance they have of a confrontation?
Well,
they go to the cemetery and then they're heading to the.
And I want to talk about the cemetery because that's where you can predict where these 2 groups are going to split up. And they don't split up the way you would think with Swan going with one and Ajax going with the other. Swan and Ajax end up on the same side of the split, but there's tension within them because Swan is the war chief, and because Cleon's dead, he become the warlord, who's the main guy over all the all the warriors.
Cleon wanted Swan to take over.
Cleon wanted them specifically.
Right.
On the other side of it, you have Ajax, who is literally just how best
asshole.
to put. I was about to say toxic masculinity
that
taken
is,
to
yes.
10
Oh
billion.
yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
It's
100%.
like see a man, fight it. See a woman, rape it. Like that's literally what he is.
Yeah.
What he is.
That is accurate.
But yeah, and then Rembrandt, who just this part gets me, and I think Red Letter Media, someone in when they reviewed this mentioned this before. Rembrandt named after famous Spain. He's their tagger. It's like, hey, tag this place. Let them know we're here. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like maybe get some cool art out of it. He just paints an orange W and then just goes on. And it's not even.
I was like, what?
Yeah, it's not even a good W.
Well,
Let
what's
them
really
know we're
funny
here.
is like when they're going to war when Cleon is like psyching them all up to go to this conclave, and he's like, make sure that you bring the stuff and tag everywhere,
Tag
let them know that
everything
we're coming,
Yeah.
and all this,
And they know that we were there, and all
let them
this.
know that we were like, he's really like hyping it up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this might be cool. W.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And like he had to like
And
shake the can a little bit during the middle of the W and get it
Right.
back going.
Yeah.
Like, that is like that is maybe the biggest letdown in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
I
well,
don't
no,
know.
if you're gonna name the tagger Rembrandt, I want
Yeah.
to see fucking Rembrandt.
The tags in
God
the
damn it.
video game is much better than that.
I don't doubt. I 100% don't
I've heard
doubt.
that's a
Yeah.
very good video game.
I played it a little bit because of my father playing it. I remember enjoying it. I want to say they have it on the PlayStation Store.
If we remember last week about licensing in video games, that was a licensed video game. But again,
Yes.
it's work for pride. Rockstar, you could tell the team that worked on that loved that movie, loved that setting,
Yeah.
and wanted to give it the best thing they possibly
Right.
could for it. So yeah.
So after the cemetery, where did we go?
Okay, so we're underneath the bridge, and all of a sudden there's this giant bus with like 40 skinheads in it.
Well, it's a mixture of a bunch of different gangs, actually.
No,
it's
it's
one
not-
gang.
Oh, was
the
it?
turn-
Was-
the
yeah,
Turnbills.
the
Oh,
Turnbull
okay.
ACs are one gang.
There's another bus
I was
later.
a little confused that I thought it was more than one, but then,
Right.
as the scene went on, I was like, oh, okay, this is just one.
Yeah, they're trying to plan out what they're going to do, which happens throughout the whole movie, and they're like kind of off to the side, and they're like, I don't know, man.
Well, the whole push and pull of the movie
Right.
is Swan is very stoic. He wants to take things slowly,
Right.
and be careful. And Ajax wants to just
Do it.
go at it.
Just
he wants,
do it.
He wants to literally fight his way back.
He's
to
like, I'm
Coney
tired of
Island
running,
every-
man.
Yeah, he's all
second.
about blaze of glory.
Yes.
Like if
He's
you
all
know,
gung
like,
ho about everything.
okay, so
He gets a blaze of glory.
it starts out, so the Turnbull ACs have it's 40 skinheads. However, it's a very progressive skinhead group because they're whites and blacks. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you don't just have like
Right.
your regular 2% milk fucking racist. It's all different races
Right.
come together for racial supremacy, but whatever.
Yeah.
So their train is about to pull out.
Right.
They have to get there, but they have to get through the Turnbulls.
They make a bolt for it. This
And
giant
that's-
battle bus is coming
God,
towards
I
them.
love that scene.
Yeah.
Like that
is
scene
cool.
has tension to it. Like they finally get to the stairs and the Turnbulls stop and they're all chasing them. Who is the last member of the Warriors there to get on the train?
Couldn't tell you.
I
I
want to
don't
say
remember.
I want to say it was either Swan or Ajax.
It's Ajax.
Is it?
Ajax.
If you look at the chases and the action scenes and
Mm-hmm.
all there, Ajax always positions himself right next to the flame.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Like so, he's always like he was the last one to get on the train. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's the one who turns and fights the gang that, as far as visually goes, is my favorite gang in the entire series, in the entire thing. But he's always the one that's right there, like about if he's the one that's about to face the danger all the time.
There's one moment like because they make the train, and there's one moment where I think there's going to be a different reveal than what we actually get, because the other guy that was on a PBS show called 321 Contact looks at the map. I can't remember the character's name, but like he had the
There's
That was
I think that's Vermin.
was it Vermin?
Vermin.
Because in the split up, it's Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt.
He looks at the map, and I'm thinking for a second there he's gonna go, we got on the wrong train. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that's
So
not
they
what
got
happened.
on the right perfect
They-
train.
they-
It would have gone straight to Coney Island.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
If it
And the
hadn't
next
been-
stop has a fire
If
raging.
it didn't
and they
have
to stop.
someone started a fire, I wonder who did that.
And they don't tell
They
anybody.
never tell you who
You-
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can write in however you want. Either that's their bad luck, which I kind of lean towards.
It could be.
It is 70s New York,
Yeah.
so maybe
It could be. I really want to think that there was a gang
It
involved
was.
in it.
Well, it's
When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that was the Rogues who did that." They,
You can read that in there.
well
yeah.
the way the
Because
movie
then
plays
in
it up.
literally the next scene, it cuts to the Rogues.
Yeah, I feel bad for the bodega vendor
Yeah.
that had to deal
Oh,
with
yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they all get snacks. It's like, are you gonna pay for the snacks? And he throws the snacks back. It's like
For
pay for
what?
what?
Yeah, she's just like this little wafy thing.
I was like, "Oh, she's just gonna let them go." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, good for her
Yeah.
for actually standing up," because I wouldn't have.
No, hell no.
Yeah, Ethan, you had something. Go
Sorry,
sorry.
yeah, you
The way that the movie plays up, it portrays this lower class gang, the orphans that set the fire.
We're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
to
Oh,
those
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So fire's raging, so they have to get out. And who do they meet? They meet the orphans. And man, like
how less intimidating.
The orphans all look like they have been taking heroin.
From a plot structure point, I love this scene.
Right.
Because the revelation, it's like we were at the big meeting in the Bronx. It's like you couldn't have a big meeting in the Bronx without the orphans. And
I'm sorry.
like,
the leader of the orphans just looked like Ross Geller from Friends.
He was
Ross Geller with Friends, if he had a lazy eye and then his lazy eye had conjunctivitis.
so
emaciated. Yeah.
He looks so frail.
I do like how they because I was like, oh, this is immediately going to go south, but they actually do very well at talking them down.
Yeah,
and
then of course, man. Well,
because the orphans are obviously wusses, man. Yeah. Like they're like, oh man, you can walk through as long as you know you're cool or whatever.
And then the female lead finally shows up, and her first thing she does
is fuck everything up.
It's like and instigates what would eventually be a fight. It's
right.
Because then to save face, they're like, well, you can go if you take off your colors. Meaning
and they're like,
Swan's like, fuck you.
And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. So they just keep
walking. We're just walking through, deal with it. And then this is a portion that I really like because it does slow down, but it slows down from, if you wanted to introduce this girl, you've done two good things. One, you've got it. It's like she's a rabble rouser. So, okay, that's why she's involved in
Trouble,
this. Okay.
as they called her.
Absolutely. They literally, I can't remember which one. Was it Fox or... was it Fox or Cochise that says
one
that's trouble?
Yeah, I want to say it was Fox.
And so, you see her just walking down the street, and it's like, oh, she's looking for the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And they find her.
Yeah.
And then Ajax is immediately rapey.
Yes.
Just straight into the.
Also, we'll be remiss to say that Ajax, his whole... If he is having a conversation with you and he wants to do something that is going to be stupid,
he's going to do it.
And you say, no, that's stupid, he's going to call you a homophobic slur.
Yeah.
Yes.
No matter what. Doesn't matter how stupid
that.
the thing is
yes.
or not. Because I just kept going, oh, okay, so this is just his thing.
Right.
Yeah. You can tell this movie was
made in the 70s.
This movie is a product of its time.
Yes, we do. 100%. We meet the orphans again. They've got a couple of friends.
Well, hold on. There's one other thing about that scene. It's like she's like, yeah, why I'm fine, and then Swan, the male lead, who and she's the female lead. Eventually, this should lead to something. He just looks at her and he goes, "Yeah, I bet you'd like if we ran a train on you."
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. And I was like, "Whoa,
yeah, this is your number." And then the orphans show up and he starts reaching down. It's like, what what is he going to do to this guy? Rips off a piece of her dress, because that is the tie-off for the Molotov cocktail that they throw at the orphans that immediately castrates all of them.
One of them just keeps a bottle so they can, on a satchel. That they just...
Don't bring any weapons, but I guess until it becomes a Molotov, it's just alcohol.
Yeah, they throw it at a car and it explodes.
Yeah, it was like, oh, they're just going to throw it. No, they throw it at a car.
There's two bad editing spots that I always remember in this movie. Mm-hmm. The first one is that. So they throw it. You see the thing audibly, visually and audibly bounce off the hood, and then it's an immediate shot cut to the whole hood being on fire.
I must have not paid attention because I didn't catch that cut.
Because the scene is so cool, and I've seen this movie 12 times.
I might have seen it if I had been watching it on a high definition television while streaming it.
You were watching it as God intended.
Yeah. I did.
No. God intended would have been film. He watched it on a VHS tape.
It was on a film of a kind. Yeah, I watched it on tape.
He watched it on video.
Videotape.
Was it on a CRTV as well?
It was on a CRTV.
There you go.
Yeah. Welcome to Jody's Den.
Once in the 70s, always in the 70s.
Man.
Jody's Den. He listens to Merle Haggard on 8-track.
No, I do not.
What do you listen on the 8-track player?
I don't have an 8-track player, sir.
You liar. Your den can't be, in my head canon, it can't be complete without an 8-track player.
Okay, so I need to find a 2XL robot so I can play 8 tracks on it, like Merle Haggard.
In my head, it's like the 8-track player and the record player together in one thing. It's like silver in the front with wood paneling on the side.
8-tracks didn't have enough fucking shit in them to play the whole album, by the way.
Yeah, that's why they were called 8-tracks.
Yeah.
Because it got
that
8
was
tracks.
It.
That's all you get.
That was it.
Yep.
And if your songs were too long, it was 4 tracks, baby.
Yeah. And if your family didn't have enough money, you got half tracks. So you even get all of the good parts of Stairway to Heaven. Mm-hmm. You can't. Yeah. It's just the way it was.
You got the half before the drums kick in.
So the car blows up, and then the
car catches fire. It didn't blow up.
well, whatever.
There was,
there was an explosion.
The hood blew. No, there was an implied explosion, and then there was fire on a hood because that's how the editing went.
However you want to word it, and then they make a run for it.
Yeah, and they make a run for it. Mercy splits up from them at this point, but she will. Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
She will because so Mercy splits up from them, but she will be back. Spoilers. So they get to the train station, and eventually they have to get to the Union Square station because that's the last train that can get them to Coney Island. So they're at the station, and the cops show up. I love I love the use of the cops in this movie because the cops can be run from, they can be delayed.
Right.
But if they get to you, you're done.
Yep.
Right.
So the cops are death.
Right.
Like if you have to deal, like if you're in dealing. So in the ensuing tussle with them, Fox is wrestling with a cop.
Right.
No, Fox is
Mercy
pulling,
was
Fox
with
is
Fox.
pulling Mercy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
That's when the cop cornered
That's
him.
when they get
cop
separated.
does-
Good, Ethan. Good for catching that. Yeah. So they start tussling, and they're tussling right next to the subway.
Yes.
And then you start hearing this whine from the subway approaching. So you realize this thing's getting closer and closer.
You know one of them is going to die.
Yeah, and then Fox gets like literally hip tossed directly into the subway thing. The train rolls right. You never see it. They never show it to you, but you know because of how it was cut.
Yeah,
Right.
how it was cut.
The cut was that's a very great progression.
Right.
I read up a few behind the scenes things.
No. I want to go into at the end of this,
at the
please.
end of it?
I want to
Okay.
go into depth about that.
Okay.
There's a reason why Fox is with Mercy there. There's a reason why Fox was the one who saw what happened at the and why it's never paid off. Really,
Yeah.
we'll get into that because
Do you know
that is
the
crazy.
other thing of why Mercy is wearing a jacket later?
That part I don't know about.
Okay. While I'll tell it now because
No, go for it. Go for it.
It happened now. So it's a stunt double. It's not the actual guy who's playing Fox who's pulling Mercy, who is it's the girl. I guess she didn't get a stunt double. I don't know. From what I read, it was either the double. We don't know. It was either the stunt double but as he was pulling her running, either when the cop like tackled him or sometime during the pulling, he didn't let go. He wouldn't let go of her. So I believe broke her arm. So that's why she disappears from the movie for a little while and then shows up the entire. That
also explains why, like, she throughout that she's holding her. Like, I've never thought about that to this point.
It's this arm. It's her right arm, and she never uses her right arm hardly until like the very, very end.
Right.
But she shows back up with a jacket on. And that's to hide the cast that she had on her arm.
And they go out of their way to explain why she has the jacket.
And Swan asks her later, like, where'd you get that jacket? She goes, I stole it.
Yep.
So when I had actually, like, I was looking through some stuff and I saw it, and then I was actually, okay.
All right.
That's a little interesting tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
So
the big
death by subway.
Yeah,
Death by subway.
Yeah,
that's
Fox is dead.
And that's when you get like your 3 and 4 split of the gang.
And also because Cleon dying kind of has to happen. But with Fox dying, now any of them can die. Any of them can die. And any of them can die for any reason. And especially if they're dealing with cops. If they're dealing with cops, you run or you die.
Right.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And I think that puts a lot of dread with, like, when the police are kind of hovering around. I think that's very good setup for that. And I greatly appreciate that. So, yes. 3 of them, Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt, end up on a train heading towards Union Square.
Yeah, they happen to be able to get on a train.
Yeah. The other 4, which are
Swan, Ajax. Vermin?
It's not Vermin.
Crap. Dang.
Yeah.
Cowboy.
I forgot about that character.
And because he's barely he's
barely there.
He doesn't do anything special
until a few minutes into one of the scenes coming up.
Snow, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the team that is still on foot gets out of the subway, and they're immediately approached by a clown at night with a baseball bat.
Baseball Furies.
So but no, again, the Warriors do exactly what you're supposed to do when you are approached by a clown at night with a baseball bat, and that's run the fuck away.
Yeah.
And they plant the Furies earlier because when they're doing the big call out of saying over the radio, like, hey, they're cutting to a lot, and these are one of the guys. They're they're
see
running
them
out of their little up the stairs, and they have baseball bats beside them, and they're each just popping off a baseball bat.
The baseball Furies are like, for me, the cool. Like, one thing I like about all the gangs,
They're
gangs,
the most memorable.
Yeah.
they're definitely the most, but also every gang has its own personality
and gimmick.
gimmick. Yeah, like the orphans are conjunctivitis.
Yes.
I just like
And heroin.
Imagine again getting conjunctivitis in your lazy eye. How bad? What do you do
My
on that
thing is,
side of
okay,
your
they,
body?
They look that shitty, but every single one of they all have these green cut off tees with orphans like screen printed on the back, and it's like, how much heroin did y'all have to give up to afford to get all of the? Because there's like 50 of them.
Yeah.
To get all of to get this on the back here.
Yeah.
To get those
Ajax
letters
could have
put on
taken
there.
all of them out. With just
Oh
like
yeah,
one
they could have
probably.
blown on them, and they've been like they've been
They've
over.
been done.
Yeah.
But
So we got
there's
the
this
Furies.
So there's this chase, and it's gone through into the city, into the park, and they're running. And Cowboy is just like Cowboy smokes.
Yeah.
That's why he's called Cowboy. 'Cause
Definitely.
he's a junior Marlboro man. And
Definitely.
he's just running. It's like I can't run anymore. And Ajax is like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Cool. I didn't want to run anyway. And
Right.
so the fight starts, and
Yes.
it is the most shit fight scene in the movie.
That's because they have bats.
Yeah.
So, but they
Also at
could've-
this time, like Swan and the other one and Snow
Swan and Snow
go off
yeah.
on another way, so they get behind them, so they're able to while Ajax is fighting all the Furies, they're able
Right.
to go up behind
Ajax
them.
isn't fighting all the. Ajax is fighting one Fury,
That is true,
and
yeah.
the other three Furies are background.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Well, they
you're-
all went to the school of come at the person one at a time.
You know who
Right.
did? You know who didn't? The Gramercy riffs.
Yeah,
Just
that is
keep
true.
dropping that elbow on
Right.
Cleon until he's dead. It's
is
fucking
true.
done.
So that shitty ass fight is over pretty quickly, and the Warriors now have baseball bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've now taken trophies.
Yeah, they have trophies.
So, a couple things about that scene to me, kind of subconscious. That's why Swan is the leader, because he's tactical and he's smart, and rather than just use brute
Yes.
force, like
Snow
Right.
is very stoic and
Yeah.
when they work together, the Warriors can achieve anything. But when they're split apart, that's when they
Right.
have
Yeah.
problems. Like if the whole team had been allowed to stay together, they're home in like 10 minutes. in my
Right.
opinion. So
Yeah.
I like that about that scene. I'm gonna shove that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle.
That is
Like
one
I
of
love that line.
And I also love another line. It's like soon after that happens, you hear the DJO. It looks like the Furies struck out.
Yeah.
No, it's every baseball pun. It's like
Yeah.
the Warriors
Yeah.
made second round at
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
It's so good. Again,
Yeah.
Lynn Thigpen delivering those lines.
It's great.
Fantastic.
It's great.
Fantastic. That's Salt Bay. Let me
Do we?
sprinkle a little bit of that on
And
there.
then we get the other. Do we get another gang like pretty
No, no, no.
quickly?
They're
No.
walking through the park.
Yeah.
And Ajax comes upon what is clearly bait.
Oh,
As soon as I saw
This
that,
scene.
I did the Max from Fury Road.
Yeah.
because
That's bait.
let me tell you,
Yep.
not a woman, but my, just what we watched separately, from my perspective, if I was in her position, yes, I'm sitting on a park bench at 3:00 in the morning in New York.
Yes.
and I
In
see
the 70s.
in
the
1979, and I see four guys with like gang colors walk past me with baseball bats. Yes, hello, young sir. I would like to talk to you.
Yeah.
No.
She's sitting
Obviously.
there. She's sitting there under a perfectly lit
Street light.
street light on a bench, just listening to her Walkman.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even. They walk past and they don't.
I don't even
pay
think she's
attention.
listening to I just think she's sitting there, which is
Well,
like
you can see there's like a Walkman beside, and I think she
The
has
crazy thing
headphones in,
about
but-
the bait is it's only bait for Ajax because she barely looks at anybody.
and Ajax being
Ajax.
is like, I'm gonna go back. Let's go back and let's do things to her.
Swan's like,
And
we gotta go
we
home.
gotta go home.
everybody else is like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
One, they don't even really don't even see it as bait. Their argument is, because
We ain't got time.
I'm gonna be honest, like they can work well together, but there are a lot of things that happen in this movie that show that all of the Warriors together aren't that bright.
Right.
But the fact that they don't immediately go, hey, isn't that really weird that she's just sitting there
Yeah.
at 3:00 at night?
That actress is Mercedes Rule.
Oh, okay.
So just shout out to Mercedes rolling that. So they move on a little bit ahead, and then Ajax is like, no, must rape.
I'm assuming real quick. We haven't really touched on this at all. I'm assuming their ages range from like 16 to 25 or something like that, right?
Probably.
I don't think a single one is supposed to be older than 20.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why they're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And horny.
And horny.
yes.
Except for Ajax, who's rapey.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
Yeah. He
You
crosses
can
that
be
line.
horny. It can get annoying,
So-
but never be
Yes.
rapey.
Some of them later are horny.
Yeah.
He
What I found-
Immediately after
was-
the scene.
that was
After the
also a
scene.
trap.
Yeah, we're getting there. What I found really strange about that, outside, if it wasn't Ajax, of course, is that she's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, they're
Red
having
flags all over the
They're
place.
having a normal conversation for a minute. Like for a good 2 minutes, they're having a normal, engaging conversation. She's like, "Oh, you've got big muscles. I bet the girls like your muscles." He's like, "Yeah," and then he immediately starts groping her like
Yeah.
hard.
And it means that, no, I like it rough, baby.
And she's
It's
like, hold on, we can have sex. He's
Right.
like, no,
No.
I can't have sex. I have to rape you.
Yeah, and so we're gonna have multiple disclaimers for this episode.
Yeah.
it all falls under the one disclaimer.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is
It
mature
wouldn't-
subject matter
okay.
and
It
mature
wouldn't hurt to
language.
put a trigger
I
warning of
understand,
talking about rape.
but we've mentioned rape so many times. But yeah, he just goes for it, and she's like, "Hey, I'm an undercover."
Yeah, she handcuffs him to
Right.
To the bench. Starts blowing on a whistle.
blowing on a whistle, and he's like, "Oh, come on,
Oh, come on, lady!"
And he starts
I'm just
crying
trying
and
to get you.
whining. Yeah, he
Yeah.
starts whining. He's like, "Let me go!"
And
it's
then,
like,
and then the cops show up,
And then
and
the cops
the
show up.
cops equal death, and
Yeah.
Ajax is gone.
and
Yeah,
guess
Ajax
what?
is no longer
You
in the
don't feel
movie.
sorry for the fucker at
No.
all.
No, when he gets hit in the stomach with that baton, I
I'm
was
like,
like, okay,
good.
good for you.
Good, you piece of shit.
Look at you. You got me fucking cheering for the cops.
That's a very
In this
strong
situation,
thing
in this
from
film,
Brady Davis.
That's a
right now.
bold
Fuck
statement
Ajax.
right there.
Ajax can fucking die. That character's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cowboy and Snow also attempt to go back because
Yeah.
Cowboy's like,
But then
"Oh,
they
he
see-
saved
no,
my
they
life."
go,
back.
They go back and they see that's like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
and then they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, cops."
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
well,
Yeah, we're
it's
gone.
over.
Which splits
So
up
that
the
further
remainder of the
splits it-
three.
splits
Right.
that up.
Yeah. And I'm just very briefly, we get Swan and Mercy back together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But now I want Ethan to describe what the other crew has just landed doing.
So we see the other three, which is Ranchambeau.
Ramshambo.
I don't remember the names.
Then why did you name them?
There's only certain ones I remember.
Stop! No!
The code is
Stop!
Rochambeau. Now let's go, man.
Not
go.
even Rochambeau, Ramchambeau. It's like Rambo and Rochambeau. I am not playing that game. You have to shoot off someone's testicles with a fucking support weapon. No,
That's the
No.
musical we all need.
What's the other two's names? I'm curious.
No, I'm not going into.
Oh,
now.
you need
No,
to.
No, just come up with two names. It'll be funny.
Shit.
Shit. Okay, Ramchambeau. Shit, and who else?
Fucking Jeremy. Why not?
Fucking Jeremy.
Jeremy.
All right.
So
The other-
Ramchambeau, shit, and fucking Jeremy.
All right.
What are they doing?
Continue.
The other three, they get to Union Square eventually by themselves, and then they're waiting for the other four. And while they're waiting, they see a group of
Young ladies.
young
Young
ladies
ladies.
talking amongst each other, looking at them.
Giving them the eyes.
And they're getting the eyes back.
Yeah, and they're getting the eyes back.
They eventually go over there, start talking with them, and the ladies invite them,
Over
the
to their
warriors over to
apartment.
their place.
Rembrandt this whole time is like, "Hey, we
Don't
need to
know.
stay
It's
here."
Ramchambeau.
Ramshambo.
Ramshambo.
He's like, guys, we need to get home. I don't know
He's
about
like,
all
nah,
this.
why the rush?
Why? And they're like, "Why the rush?
Yeah.
This is also not clearly a trap."
Right. Obviously.
So they go to the ladies' place. They're chilling. They're listening to music.
Right before they get up there, they find out that these girls are the Lizzies.
Yeah, the
The
Lizzies.
Lizzies, yeah.
Lizz.
Second red flag.
Yeah.
Right.
First of all, there's just a group of women in the middle of the night hanging out in
3
Union
a.m., yes.
Square.
Now they're not.
When you say it that way, it sounds like they had planned this.
Second of all,
They have a group
tell
name.
you they have a group name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that like there's a bunch of gangs with
Right.
group names.
Right. And their name is also very close to something else.
Yeah.
They didn't try very hard on that one.
I'm pretty sure that was a positive for them as well.
I'm sure it was a positive.
The 1970s.
So yeah,
also,
go
it's
ahead.
like, yeah, we know all about the Warriors. You're a pretty tough outfit.
That's red flag number 3 where I'm like, Jesus Christ.
How dumb are you? Pretty dumb.
So they're having 2 of the Warriors are having a good time
making out
with the Lizzies.
Now, shit and fucking Jeremy are just having the time of their lives.
Meanwhile, two of the
I'm not letting this go.
They're just swinging their dicks all around.
Two of the non-gang members, females, are dancing with each other.
Yes.
Which is nothing against that. Yeah. But it's just like, okay. That's what
I'm in support of that.
But I am too.
Ladies dance with one another.
I am too, but again, Rembrandt looks at it and he goes, what's happening right now?
And then all of a sudden, you hear one of the Lizzies say, so you're the group that shot Cyrus.
Well, she says that, is it before or after she locks the door?
It was before, and then after you see
the door getting locked.
The door,
yeah,
and Rembrandt says, "This is a trap." Yeah. And then
well, no, he doesn't just say it's a trap. It's like the girls are packing. The girls are packing.
Yeah.
And then,
because they pull out guns,
switchblades, guns.
This is the start of the very good action scenes for me.
Oh yeah,
that thing was chaotic.
Yeah,
men are punching women in the face.
Yeah,
like
that
what
happened.
the fuck? That comes the holy
I didn't
shit.
expect that.
This is the 70s.
Yeah.
Clearly, holy shit. Like
and to be honest, if a woman pulls a switchblade on you, I think it's okay to punch her in the face.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're making out with a woman who has shown enthusiastic consent up to this point, you're making out with a woman, and then she pulls a switchblade on you, you are within your rights to punch her in the mouth.
Yes.
So they shoulder check the door and bust their way through the apartment.
Yeah.
And
that's a great
That's
shot.
a great shot. And I love the shot after that.
I really did
where
like that shot.
the leader of the gang, she's like, well, shit. And you have to think to yourself, is she saying, well, shit, because they got out? Or is she saying that because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and her front door is completely smashed open?
Yeah, that is a problem.
We got to find another hangout.
I think it's a combo, like the whole thing. Yeah.
So they break out.
They break out and they make their way back to Union Square.
Right.
Yeah. And then
I can't get Ram Shampoo out of my head.
I think we've got.
I'm not going to be able to look at this movie anymore and I'll go, hey, there's Ram Shampoo. Fuck Jeremy and shit.
Welcome to the Mystery Science Theater version of the Warriors.
Yeah. And I think next we've got Swan.
Swan meets up with Mercy.
Swan meets up with Mercy,
and then
he
cops
goes to the
meet
train
up with
station.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And then they come upon a copper.
Right. What does he throw at the cop?
At the bat.
He throws the bat at the cop, and he
Yeah.
takes his leg out or something.
He trips him.
The best warrior, Swan,
Yes.
doing as much as he can. All he can do is incapacitate a cop. That's
Right.
it. Again, the cops are like
Death.
this thing that cannot be touched.
Right.
Again, it's very sad. And so much so that they have to run down subway tracks to get away from
They
them.
just hit down the track.
Which has been established already as
somebody
that's also
died.
death.
Yeah.
So they would rather choose being hit by a subway than dealing with the cops.
So they make their way down
there
the
are some
tunnel.
cool. Speaking of him throwing the bat and knocking, there are some kind of cool. I don't know if they're phenomenal shots, but it was interesting where sometimes they would slow down things.
Oh, the slow-mos are on point.
That would happen.
Yeah.
He slowed like it slows down when he throws the bat at the cop's legs and trips him.
Yeah, when they're breaking through the door at the Lizzie's.
They're breaking through the doors. That was really
that
cool.
That made that shot.
That
because
was really cool. Yeah.
Like what's still going on inside the apartment is in motion.
Yeah.
But once they get out of it, it's this slow motion. They think it's like, oh hell.
Yeah.
And that's not a set. That's an actual apartment they're in.
Oh yeah, I don't think they had sets.
They didn't have sets.
Yeah.
All that shit was shot on scene.
They shot at night in New
Yeah.
York City.
Yeah.
There was a couple nights where people were throwing bricks at them.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine so.
I remember reading that. Also, they had some trouble with actual gangs in the area.
I can imagine so.
Multiple times.
Bunch of people dressed up in one color,
I think one
hanging
time
out.
they actually got in trouble because one of the gangs, they were wearing colors in on their turf, and they had to deal with that.
They're like, "Hey, man, we're just making a movie."
And then this is where the movie kind of loses me a little bit because now we're trying to do this romantic subplot with Mercy and Swan.
There's a reason for that.
I understand, but
when
you get to that reason,
when we
still
get to
doesn't
that,
even make sense to me.
Also, by this time, you keep thinking to yourself, "Man, where are the Rogue guys at?
Yeah.
We have barely seen any of those dudes.
Yeah.
You only ever see them in like these interstitial, like they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see them for very much.
If we can like get off topic for who
Yep.
is
Us
who is
get off
Lu-
topic?
Yeah, we can get off topic.
who is
Perfect.
Luther talking to? Because there's multiple shots where you see Luther on the payphone talking to someone. We don't know who that is.
I don't think you ever are supposed to know. I think
never figure that out.
I think Luther, and the reason why he's still egging that pudding of these guys are the bad guys. So like he keeps spreading this misinformation to kind of make sure that everything stays focused on
The
who he wants
Warriors.
to get hunted, and instead of being hunted himself.
Yes.
While they're also hunting the Warriors. I don't know, just to keep the ruse up, or if
I don't think they were. I will say this. This is going to be a real quick aside. David Patrick Kelly. Say if we had today's nuance about certain characters, I think David Patrick Kelly would have played the Joker at one point.
oh yeah, his character work.
Basing off of this story,
Dude,
like again, it's
watch. I'm gonna tell you right now. If nothing else, for him being in it, watch Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. He's in that. Him and Dennis Quaid both use the psychic ability they have to enter people's dreams. They're supposed to both be helping people. Guess who's not helping people?
No, David Patrick Kelly is an amazing character actor.
Yeah.
Again, I do think, like, with the sensibilities that we now have about the Joker, like, he was still Clown Prince of Crime, like, kind of goofier. Like, David Patrick Kelly is very good at being offbeat sinister.
Definitely.
And the one line, just to go towards a little bit toward the end, when they do confront the Warriors, he goes, "Why'd you shoot Cyrus?" Why not? It's like just cause. Like,
Yeah.
there was no
I
other
like
reason
doing
to do
things
I just
like that.
like doing things like that.
'Cause
Yeah.
Up until that point, to me, it kind of feels like, oh, there's some bigger, like some big gang member that's telling Luther, hey, do all of this, because like, who knows? Maybe the big gang member wants to be in that Cyrus position. But
anything
he's
goes.
just crazy.
If you haven't seen the movie up until this point, anything goes.
Yeah.
Like for real.
I knew, like, this is a movie I hadn't watched this before, but I knew a lot of it just from getting it from the zeitgeist. But what I thought going into this was that, the Rogues were going to be like a bigger, like it was constantly they were going to be fighting the Rogues and having to fight them off, and maybe they get away from them and things like that.
They're barely in the movie.
But they're barely in it, and it's more of and I was also thinking like, David, whatever his name is,
David Patrick Kelly.
Like he had this big plan or something. Like he had a reason to do this. And
right.
then in the end, when they go, no, it's just because I wanted to. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
But I'm glad the way they utilize the character.
I'll go one further. I don't think he's talking to anybody over that phone.
It's quite
I
possible.
think he's that
putting a
disjointed.
show
He's
on
putting
for
this
his
show
gang.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
be.
quite possible.
Could be.
He's incredibly unhinged.
So
throughout the
after
movie.
the Lizzies, and then after the cops with the Swan.
After the Swan Mercy scene and
After the makeout session in the tunnels of New York's
which is
subways,
just dripping with sex appeal. No, it wasn't.
So we're slowly bringing the team back together. Everything seems to be okay. It's very quiet. Like you're seeing shots of subways and like ramps going up and down. And then all of a sudden, stinger music hits and a dude's riding roller skates. Clearly
in overalls.
Yeah, a dude in overalls
and a stripe
skating.
long sleeves.
Yes, we get the Sonny and Cher variety show of gang members.
Yes. The band, the gang is known as the Punks.
I like to call them the Osmonds. We're in the 70s, so they definitely look like they could be in the Osmonds.
I just call them overalls.
I love the scene with them.
Yes.
I love the scene with Swan, and Mercy comes up to him and says, "Hey, you know that guy's looking at you." I go, "Yeah, I know that guy's looking at me." Now he knows that I'm looking at him.
Right.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I love that. Very subtle.
And again, it's why Swan was the war chief.
Yeah.
Like he's thinking about these things and knows what's going on.
He is the smartest one of them.
It's like I love his character. I love the actor. I think his first name's Mark. Michael Beck. Yeah.
Michael Beck.
Oh, he's perfect in this. Like I just love that. So the gangs have slowly gotten back together. So Ajax didn't make it. It's like, no, Ajax didn't make it. It's like, and so, but you got the crew hold together, and now more of the punks are showing up, and it's like, okay, we're about to get in a fight, and like they go into a men's room.
Yeah, she's like, I can't go in there.
And like, before that, it was really, really cool when like the rest of the team shows up and they come down the stairs.
Oh yeah,
the punks are
Swan is
looking at
facing them, and then the punks are over here to Swan's left, and he just kind of makes this eye movement towards them, like look,
like
he
go
looks at
over
them,
that way.
looks at them, and then looks over there, and then they all just nod.
They agree what to do,
and once
silently.
Again, the team's back together.
Right.
Again. They're going to win this.
Right.
You know they're going to win this. And just now it's the only hope that you hope it's going to be cool when they do it. And man, it is. But
it is a really cool.
Again, the comedy beat in this is they're all going in the men's room, and Mercy
and Swan are like the last ones to go in.
And it's like out of moral turpitude. She's like, I can't go in there. It's a men's room. And I think it's Cochise goes, it's like, whatever, and just drag them in there. It's like, haha, you're a whore.
Just get in there.
No, she ain't no whore.
She ain't no whore. Yeah. That's the worst Mercy impersonation ever.
Or is it the best?
No, it's the worst. I'm sorry, man. I can't give you.
You can't defend
exactly
it.
Like
I can't give you the flowers for that.
So I love the shot here.
Yeah.
So the Osmonds like break in. The Punks break in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Put respect on their name.
Yeah, okay. Overalls and roller skates. Roller skates. They break into the bathroom and nobody's in there, and you're like, obviously.
Yes.
You know, they're in the stalls. Come on. They have to be in the stalls.
I love the fisheye lens.
Yeah.
They're coming down the entranceway of the men's room, and it's in a fisheye lens, so it's kind of weird and kind of bent out. Oh God, I love this. Real quick, Andrew Laszlo is the director of cinematography for this movie. This movie is all at once a product of its time visually and timeless.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the shots in this movie are unique. The shot, like I love the mistiness of Central Park and Van Cortlandt Park, and the idea that there's something maybe like kind of fun and mystical going on with this.
So we're in the bathroom, and they're obviously hiding in the stalls.
Yeah.
And then the fight breaks out.
Well, the fight doesn't just break out. The opening salvo of the fight is probably my favorite part of it because his feet are down. Oh, they know they're in the stalls now.
Yeah. Right.
Opens the stalls, immediate spray paint to the eyes.
Yes.
Rembrandt gets the first shot, and it's a great one. Oh my God,
it's a good shot there.
And then it's just pure chaos.
And then the rest of them, while the leader of the Punks in roller skates is like dealing with spray paint in his eyes, the other warriors bust open the doors to knock the people who are right next to the doors over.
Right.
And then it's fucking on.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And this is a back and forth fight. It's not like the Warriors like
they have the upper hand
winning.
on everything.
Yeah.
It's not a realistic fight, but it's not like two punches and somebody falls down.
Yeah.
It's
you see that nobody's like really well equipped to fight.
Because they're fighting in a fucking bathroom.
Right.
Nobody knows how to
like
fucking fight in a
there's
bathroom.
no space. So shit's going to get destroyed, and then people start realizing, wait a minute, the walls are a weapon. Yeah, and they start like throwing heads into walls.
Mirrors.
Vermin gets thrown into the
mirrors with
That's
the
a
sink.
great stunt spot.
Oh
my God, right into the mirror. It broke perfectly. Oh yeah, that is so good.
You see the Punks get thrown into the bathroom stalls with the doors.
I love
that last shot. Yeah.
What I love is one of them gets thrown right through a fucking door.
Yeah,
and then
on
the
top
next
of the
one
toilet.
gets his head rammed in the door, and that door doesn't give a single fucking inch.
Yeah, that extra definitely took all the blunt of that.
Yeah.
Oh God, like everything about that fight is just amazing. I love it. I love it because that, first of all, best fight scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
100% because
Yeah, I have to agree.
everybody in there is just has something to do and is doing it. Absolutely. Oh my God, I love that fight scene.
And then what happened next, guys?
The Punks get CTE. That's what the Punks are just loaded down with it.
One of the Punks will definitely shoot themselves in the chest so that they
can preserve the brain.
Their brain can be stayed for science.
There you go.
But after that, the Warriors finally make their way to Union Square and get on the train back to Coney Island.
Yeah.
Who did they meet on the way back to Coney Island?
They're all sitting down on the seats, and then all of a sudden the train stops. They're not in Coney Island yet, but we see two couples in prom outfits.
Oh yeah,
Prom
forgot
couple.
awkward.
Prom
Yeah.
They're all like they get on the subway and they're like all like in the moment of having a good time. They had a good night at the prom. They're laughing, tee hee hee, and they look over
They see Mercy
and Swan, and they're just like looking at them disheveled.
And then it goes from upbeat to like, oh yeah. Because y'all had fun tonight. We didn't.
And then there's a pan down of like Mercy's like ankle, and it's bruised and shit.
Well, also I noticed like her feet. She's wearing like open-toed shoes, and her feet are like really dirty.
Yeah.
Showing that she has been. Props to this girl because she's been running this whole night in heels. Not super high heels, but they're still heels.
Yeah,
right.
Anytime I see a woman doing that, I gotta give them props because I couldn't do that.
And they see like, you know, Swan and Mercy just kind of glaring at him like, you could calm down now.
Yeah, they are
kinda.
awkwardly staring at them pretty badly.
Favorite part of the scene. She looks like she's gonna try to fix her hair up a little bit.
Right.
And Swan just grabs her arms like, no.
No.
You don't need to fix.
Don't
yourself
try
up
and
to them.
make yourself look pretty.
You do not need to fix yourself up to them.
And those prom kids leave on the very next stop,
Yep.
which is probably not the stop they were gonna get off at.
No, they'll be fine at 4:00 in the morning, walking down the street in suits in New York City in 1970s.
One of the girls drops her corsage
Yes.
on the subway floor.
Yeah.
Swan picks it up.
And as they get off the stop for Coney Island, Swan hands it to Mercy.
Nonchalantly.
Yeah, it goes,
Just here.
Yeah, he's like, here.
It's like, why are you giving me this? I just don't want to see anything go to waste.
Yeah.
It's very.
Again, it's very.
The man's a Casanova.
I'm too cool.
Yeah.
I'm too cool for you.
I like you, but I can't express that I like you.
That's like elementary crush. Kind of like dip your pigtails in ink kind of.
Well, and again,
thing.
it kind of sets it back in. I'll bring up Lord of the Flies here real quick, strangely. So Lord of the Flies was about children, but as you're reading that book, you forget they're kids. And I think that's one of the most powerful
because they start
things.
acting like savages.
Yeah, because that's one of the most powerful things about that book, because even innocent children set in these horrible situations could turn into these monsters. And then at the very end of the book, like, you know, the soldiers come up on the beach and like see these kids and they're reestablished as children again, and they all start crying. And it's like, okay, so you remember these are again. These are supposed to be 16 to 20, 20-year-old like children becoming adults,
right,
and growing up in the worst of circumstances.
And
there is a bit of a message to this movie that I don't think gets enough credit.
Yeah.
Certainly not in its time.
Right.
More so as
there's a
time
lot of
has gone
subtlety
on.
too, for sure. They finally get to Coney Island.
Yeah.
They get there.
Coney Island,
it's morning time.
and everything's fine.
And
There's
you think
nothing left
you
to
think
worry about.
they're home.
It's the home stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
safe.
And
touch
then
base.
and
They
then
touch base, guys.
a very well like graffiti tagged Ghostbusters hearse.
That's the part. Yeah.
Pulls up close to where they're at, and it's the road.
With
Yes.
Rogues
We know
gang
this is the
signs
Rogues
and
because they had been
they've
been driven
in the
drove-
shots
driving
that the
around.
Rogues are in. That vehicle is
Yes.
well established.
and there's
then-
3 little beer bottles.
So David Patrick Kelly went to Walter Hill, the director, and said, "Okay, I really want to use 2 dead pigeons in this scene."
Really?
And Walter Hill was like, "No, what the hell?" It's like, okay, just think of something else and come out. And then it was like 3 beer bottles on 3 tips of fingers, clank, clank. Like, it's set up perfectly because the first you hear is the clank.
Yeah.
Then the second part you hear is the most haunting.
Yeah.
Because his voice is so broken when he's saying "Warriors come out to play," and he says it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that whole thing was improvised from I think the story that he told was somebody who had.
It was like a bully. It was a bully of his. Yeah, from what I understood,
that would do that would do that to him.
Oh,
yeah.
So yeah, that was not a scripted thing. So
No,
and
he
that
didn't.
was
and it's very
But
well
it's
done.
very good.
That's legitimately the most iconic part of the
Yeah.
movie.
Right, it's the
Anybody-
most quoted thing from the
Nobody
movie.
who has seen the Warriors is not going to remember the Warriors come out to play the clinking of the bottles. Like
People that didn't
everybody
even see the film in the 80s would quote it.
Well, I mean, that's the part.
Right.
That's one of the main parts that I knew from even not seeing the film before.
It's one of the parts that's like commonly used, even like to like today's media.
In parody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a show that ended a regular show on Cartoon Network. They had an episode where it was literally
Of course they did.
the Warriors, but
Not
for-
an
for
Adult
kids.
Swim show, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a regular show.
yeah.
No, the regular show, like I gotta give props first to Ethan to mention this. Regular show was not for children.
The first season. the first season. They tamed it down, and then that's when the creator left, like after season 1 or 2.
Sense.
And then because they got into
went
that
deep.
Adventure Time, like I have
Yeah.
a tremendous amount of respect for those two properties.
Yeah,
for,
Pendleton Ward.
for putting, I want to say not adult, but
Right.
put more mature ideas about things in those, so that as the kids are growing up watching this, they can still
Like
latch to
some of
that.
those on the
Yeah.
first season of regular shows, some of those are not subtle.
No.
They
No,
are
they're
like
not.
in your face.
Well, a lot of those shows will throw things in that. I've heard lines from The Wire in Disney live action shows that my daughter has watched.
Right.
Like,
Gravity Falls also.
Yeah.
why is this like 8-year-old girl saying if you come at the king, you best not miss?
Right.
What the fuck?
Right.
I
love that shit.
Yeah.
Like
That's very
I laugh, and then my daughter is like, "What?" And I'm like,
Don't worry about it.
You can watch that show later, not now."
So the Warriors make a run for it.
Yeah.
Right? They make
Yeah,
a run
Swan's
for it.
like,
They're
I'm
under-
gonna
they're
lead him
under
to
a
the.
bridge.
I'm gonna lead him to the sand.
One quick thing.
Oh, sure.
So Swan's got a knife. Where did he get this knife? So we established earlier that the Warriors take trophies. That's why the baseball bats got to him. You find out that from the punks that the knife that the punk brought out at the very beginning of it,
Oh, okay.
that's the same knife. So again, it was set up where they take
Because they
trophies
do
from their
ask
wins.
them like,
yeah.
are you packing? And he
You
flicks
got
out.
clicked.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they take
He's got
I
trophies.
the
saw that
blade.
and I was just like, well, maybe somewhere they found it. They had a weapon stash
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
Coney
no,
Island because
it's
that's their turf.
it's perfectly Chekhov's gun.
and that
the fact
knife
they showed it up. Yeah,
That knife
That
plays
is cool.
off too.
Yeah, oh,
'Cause
yes,
they
absolutely.
get to the beach and there's the rogues.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a parlay.
It's
and
a- yeah.
it's a great parlay.
Right.
It's like, so why'd you shoot Cyrus? And Jody handle it.
I just like doing those kind of things.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what he said, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
For
I don't know. I just,
absolute no reason. Just
For no
to do
reason.
It.
Find
I just
out
like
this
doing
is-
those things.
you know,
Yeah.
that's one of the things going into it. I thought that like, oh, he was trying to usurp Cyrus, or he
Like
didn't want
there's
the-
a bigger hand at
he
play.
didn't
Or
want the
decide that-
gangs.
yeah, decide that he didn't want
gangs
the
working together
yeah.
or something like. No, it's just
He's
He's just
batshit
psychopathic.
some men
crazy.
would just
Yeah.
want to watch
Yeah.
the world burn.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's just
that
psychopathic.
person.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Psychopath.
it's so good.
And he pulls a gun
I was
on
like, oh,
Swan.
okay.
Yeah,
So no, Swan's offering a one-on-one fight between
Oh
him
yeah.
and Luther.
He's
Yeah.
like, you're crazy, man.
Swan pulls out the switchblade. Luther pulls out the gun.
And he's
Right.
like, no, I'm not.
well,
I'm
no.
not having a
Luther
one-on-one
pulls
with
out the gun
First.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
in response to that, Swan pulls out the knife. And again, there were 2 bad edits. This is the second bad edit. Like you hear, Swan, look out. But you see, bang, there's no way where the shot would have hit him with the line they had, but it could have hit anybody behind him,
right.
which was all of the
Yeah.
Warriors.
Right.
So
That's-
what the hell? And then it immediately smash cuts, like you see him throw the knife, and it immediately smash cuts to the knife in Luther's arm. It's
Right.
like, oh, that it's
Because
jarring.
I was
is so
not
jarring.
knowing this. I was
Right.
like, oh, well, one of them's gonna get shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
that's what I was
and
thinking.
then all of them are standing there, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because
And
the angle,
also-
somebody
Yeah.
should have gotten
And
shot.
also another really weird thing that happens right after that is like, you know, Luther's sitting there, he's holding his wrist with the knife still in it, and he's like, you're dead. But his gang members are just standing there for like what I would consider a long period of time.
That's the one. That's the one time that the baseball furies in the background and so to have one. I think that one was. I think it was supposed to be the imminent of they're going to rush them, and then but right before you even get a chance to feel that's going to happen, it goes riffs, and it's like
Yeah.
Right.
8,000 people are
Right.
now on this
Yeah.
beach when there were only 12.
Before the scene even happens, we get another vignette of the Riffs walking up to the new leader with a mysterious curly.
oh yeah, we
curly-haired
forgot that
man.
callback.
Yeah.
And we see that one of the
That's like 30 minutes prior to the
Yeah.
end of the
30
movie.
minutes
Yeah.
prior, one of the dudes says, "This cat wants to talk to you about something."
Yeah.
And it's the guy that Luther was with, a part
Right.
of the Rogues.
And he goes, he knows who shot Cyrus.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, wait, I think he has something to tell you about who shot
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Who
So
shot Cyrus.
You don't necessarily know
No.
what he's going to tell
No,
them.
but you have a pretty good assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good
Luther's
assumption.
very crass and brass with the other rogues, especially towards him. And in the scene where the rogues are leaving that bodega, that one rogue doesn't get in the car with them.
Oh, I didn't notice
I
that.
didn't
No, he caught it. That's very
I didn't even notice that guy was a rogue. I thought
I didn't
that he was
either.
just he was just
random
another guy.
gang
I missed-
member, yeah.
I missed
And
that
so
part.
now we get back to the beach on Coney Island with all the riffs.
So the riffs show up, and there's the warriors and the rogues or whatever,
and they have all of the kung fu weapons.
they have all
They
the
have
kung fu
all
weapons.
of them.
Yeah.
And it's
well, you can
just
tell from
weird.
the elbow drops they took kung fu.
Yeah,
Like,
they took kung fu by way of Dusty Rhodes.
I do love the
These are hard times. No.
Yeah.
Cleon. When he right before he gets elbow dropped to death, like he does like the most blaxploitation.
Oh, yeah.
kung
Oh,
fu
yeah.
Oh
moves.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
Karate
do
kicks.
kung fu moves back.
Yeah, and what I love about just quick thing about going back to Cleon's death, he only ever like beats the shit out of non-Gramercy riffs.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's like, and then when the riffs get in there, it's like it's done.
It's over.
It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
I like how they just like they saunter up and I forgot his name. The guy holding his wrist. Luther's like holding his wrist and he's like whining like a little child. He's like, no man, they did it.
They did it. Yeah.
The Warriors did it.
And the head of the riffs is just like, no, we know you.
He's
did
like, you can Warriors.
y'all are good.
Y'all good. And then Swan goes.
No, you're good.
Swan
you're
goes,
real good.
we're the best.
Yeah.
And then like Moses, he motions
the
and
sea.
he parts the Gramercy Rift Sea.
Yeah.
And the Warriors just walk out.
off.
They walk
while the rest of the rogues are just murdered.
right.
Just,
As
what
and
happens.
you see the Warriors walk off into the sunset.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
Like the last shot.
With
set
Swan
to
and
set to a song by Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
Joe Walsh.
So if you were
in
wondering
the
why,
city.
if you were wondering why the Eagles show up at the very fucking end,
this is the part that absolutely lost me because you have all of this cool
Right.
like you have this cool like music
In the city.
what's the song that they play when the DJ is like calling all the dancers
Nowhere to
together?
run to.
Nowhere to run.
Nowhere
You got
to
nowhere
run
to run,
to, baby.
But she's like,
Yeah,
this is for you.
that was perfect
and then,
song.
And then like the score is very cool. It's
Right.
very it's very electronic and everything.
Goblin.
Kind of dark. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Blade Runner esque, but
it's
not,
a little Carpenter-esque.
Carpenter-esque.
Yeah.
That's a better way
Right.
of putting it. I'm sorry. I have Blade Runner on the brain.
Sure.
You
But-
always have Blade Runner on
And
the brain.
then at the end of the movie, in the triumphant moment, we get fucking Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
In the city.
That song made no fucking. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck is
I
this?
think it's supposed to represent that they beat the city.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they 30 miles.
Yeah, that's cool. It still sucks.
It still sucks. I know. I know. Yeah.
So I watched the entire credits.
Oh, wow.
1 second, Ethan. I watched the entire credits because I'm watching on tape, so might as well let it play out.
Yeah.
And it focuses on the last shot is just like him, Swan, and what's her name again? Mercy standing on a rock at the beach, and then the other warriors just standing right next to him.
Yeah,
like just the walk off into the sunset.
It was a very Breakfast Club esque.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Now I'm swapping In the City with Don't You Forget About Me. I just have to do
I would
that
have
now.
preferred that.
So
Remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. That's John Wayne.
Sure.
So final thoughts and review. I'll start.
1 second, Jay. We have to mention before final thoughts. I have to mention.
No.
Okay.
I want final thoughts on the movie and then just the extras because
Okay,
Brady
sure.
and I have an extra. I know you
okay,
have an extra.
okay.
Ethan, was there something that you wanted to say?
Because we don't care. was it Beauchambeau or whatever his name was?
No, Ramshambo.
Ramshambo.
And Jeremy.
Yeah.
Fuck Jeremy and shit.
Fucking Jeremy and shit.
Yeah.
What were they doing at this? I'm sorry.
No, like,
You look like you wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
I very much enjoyed the movie. Like my dad, he liked the movie and the video game. I knew about the Warriors. Like I knew something about one man getting shot and the Warriors being blamed for it.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know all the intricacies.
Can you
about
dig it?
Can you dig it?
That's the other line that I know everybody was waiting for us to say.
I'm just the entire thing could be avoided as long as Fox didn't see Luther shoot. Like all this could be avoided. Like the Rogues could have blamed the Furies for, and all of this would not matter.
Yeah, it is a very.
I think it was like whoever was closest.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking again. I hadn't seen this movie before this, but I had. I knew about the movie and I knew about the basic plot of the movie and everything, and I knew that it's this one gang who kills the guy, and then the Warriors get blamed. And I was going into it thinking like, okay, well, it's some complicated way that they figure out how to frame the Warriors.
Nope, the guy who saw the guy shoot.
It is literally just the leader of the Rogues just points at Cleon and goes, "He did it. He did it," and then all the other Rogues go, "He did it, and then they attack Cleo.
Well,
that is
like
it.
he said that to Cleo because what's his name was the one who
Fox.
saw him. Yeah, he was the one who saw him
Fox.
shoot.
He didn't specifically say Cleon did. He said the Warriors.
He said the Warriors
shot
did it
Cyrus.
and pointed because
Yeah.
And I think if there isn't the chaos of the police raid after that, like there might be a way. Okay, what
Right.
did everybody see?
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
And
right.
but no, but one, again,
Well, of
the
course,
police,
the movie wouldn't have even happened if that.
Right,
But
of course.
it is.
Oh, if this. So people want to remake this in modern day, and I'm like, so there's these things called cell phones, and so somebody would have been like, Instagramming
Yeah.
this.
It would have to be a plot. It couldn't be. It was a spur of the moment thing,
Yeah.
or, he just felt like it. It would have to be. They came up with a plot or there was a traitor or something like it.
Well,
It would have to be something more to where
like,
they would.
Even then, like again, like 200 gangs, 9 people apiece. You have 1,800 people in Van Cortlandt Park.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to see something that isn't part of the conspiracy. And it's going to
would-
unravel.
and that would be how you end it, of
Right.
course. But like
Yeah.
but like it would have to be like a plot. It couldn't. Today this plot could not happen because somebody would have had
Impossible.
Everybody would have had their cell phones
Right.
going while Cyrus is going. Can you dig it?
right.
It would have to. You would have to change it to it being just like it to being a conspiracy, and
Yeah.
then eventually it unravels, and that's what saves the Warriors.
But all in all, I very much enjoyed the movie. I very much liked it. The DJ is probably my favorite parts in it.
God bless Lynn Thigpen, ma'am. I'm sorry you are gone, but you leave a good legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie as a whole. It is definitely a time-stamped movie. It's a movie of 1979.
It is very
all of the over macho attitude towards women.
Yes.
Not even touching on the extremes of that. But as a movie in the time period that it came out in, I think it stands alone. Like I said before, there aren't many movies that are set in that sort of gritty city setting that are that extreme. Escape from New York kind of gets like a little bit of that feel to it, but it's also a sci-fi film.
I would say Assault on like if we're gonna go Carpenter,
Assault on
Assault on
Precinct
Precinct 13.
Yeah,
is very
you
much
get
like
that. You get like
I mean,
again,
good God, a little girl gets shot in the heart in that movie.
I also mentioned Nighthawks. If you don't know what
Nighthawks,
Nighthawks
yeah.
is, it's a movie with Sylvester Stallone. He plays an undercover in it. It's really dark and gritty, but it's nothing is as dark and gritty as The Warriors, I think, for that time period. In the setting the setting being the streets of New York City.
Without stylization, like I think things like Serpico, which that's dark, but there's no style, like that's pretty real raw.
Yeah, Serpico for sure.
We would be remiss to mention something like Taxi Driver as well.
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
That's probably
Yeah.
the only thing that maybe can beat it. But even then,
No, I again like. Oh, I think it and Serpico both beat that again because it's real. Like that's real. Like,
Another
they're not
real
trying to be. Kind of,
have you ever seen Salvatore with James Wood?
I have not.
no, I have not.
It's very, very dark and gritty. But again, they're in El Salvador, so during the mid '80s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, Brady. What about you?
Yeah, like I said before when we were discussing this, this is something that I hadn't seen before, but I was very familiar with it because of just it being in pop culture and everything. I did enjoy it, and I thought that it moved pretty briskly. It got slow maybe in a couple of parts, but I didn't really feel that because it's only about 90 minutes. Like it really does move. I think. This is one where I would say that like I'm happy that I watched it, but I'm not like disappointed in myself for not having seen it up until this time. But it is a good movie. I don't know how many more times I'll go back to watch it. I think maybe if I would have watched it earlier in my life, I would feel stronger about it maybe, but it was a good movie, and I can see how it's a cult classic. It is very good. I do have a little bit. The only real problems that I have are is really that subplot, which I think might bring us into something else. But that romantic subplot.
I'll give my thoughts and then we'll go straight into that.
Because it's just I even with Swan and Mercy, I'm not really feeling it. And
I think they had great natural chemistry, and I think it's one of the reasons why it made it easier for the director to do that. But in order to do that, they had to hammer on a few scenes that don't work in the regular pacing.
Yeah. I didn't feel that chemistry, but maybe that was just me. I don't know. So okay, Jay, how'd you feel about it?
This is top 10 movie for me all time.
Oh wow!
Like it timeless and a snapshot of its own time. This is clearly a movie from the 70s, but I think the story is kind of, I don't want to say universal, but I think you can sit down with people like Ethan, like with younger people, and they can grok most of the story out of this.
Yeah.
I think it's very well paced outside of the subway tunnel.
Yeah.
I think it flies.
That's the only place where it really slows.
I think it's just over an hour and a half. I think
it's like 94
92 minutes.
Yeah. So literally, just over an hour and a half. I'm never bored with the movie.
No.
I'm just never bored. Even to this day, I've seen it over a dozen times now. Oh my god, like,
because even in the slow parts there's tension, because you as a, like, during the Lizzie scene, like, you as the viewer, I'm hoping
it's building up to something.
This is a trap.
Yeah.
This is obviously a trap, and they don't know it except for Rembrandt.
And Rembrandt's your
and Rembrandt's kind of meek, so he's not going to be the guy who's like if it was Swan in that and he saw that, he would be like, okay, we got to get the fuck out of here.
He's the one who's always, like, outside of Swan, is the one that always knows when the danger's going on.
He kind of feels like he's like, you're living vicariously through that character, because I think that's the audience.
To me, it feels like Rembrandt is like one of the newer members of the Warriors. Like
or at least one of the youngest members.
He's just now seeing
he's probably
how things are rolling.
He's the focus character in the Saul Urich book. Like, it's not the same character's name. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but he is the focus character in Saul Urich's The Warriors. So,
the Warriors in 1965, I believe.
1965, Saul Urich. So, welcome to some extra stuff. This is stuff that is, whoo boy. So, you remember there's this character named Fox. He's in the Warriors, and he actually is the one that kind of sees Cyrus shoot him. And that
Luther shoot him?
Luther, excuse me, thank you, Jesus Christ. So he sees Luther shoot Cyrus. And he also is, like, paired with Mercy in the first tunnel scene before they all get split up. And he gets killed by hip toss via pull a cop onto a train.
Yeah.
So, that's like, so.
And I want to amend that. Mercy's actress fell because the guy who was pulling her.
Okay.
I think it was when the cop tackled her. You can kind of see her kind of go down too, but then they cut it.
Okay.
She broke her wrist because the guy didn't let go, and it threw her off balance and she fell.
There you go. So that actor, his name is Tom Waits, not the singer, to the point where Tom Waits, the actor, actually met Tom Waits, the singer, later. Tom Waits, the singer, gave him a guitar and taught him how to play Jersey Girl.
That's awesome.
And out of respect for that, Tom Waits, the actor, changed his name to Tom G. Waits to make sure there was no. I don't want to.
That's pretty impressive.
So that's
the most Tom Waits.
That's the most Tom Waits. It is the most Tom Waits story, at the very least, that will ever show up on this podcast.
I will. Since you mentioned Tom Waits, I have to mention something else.
Okay.
Real quick. It's really quick.
Go for it.
Good thing this is an extras.
If you want to see the most, this is also 70s. If you want to see the most awkward audience ever on a televised musical show, watch. It's on YouTube. 1977 Austin City Limits, which that show ran. I think it might still be running. Tom Waits. Austin City Limits, 1977 or 1978, where he's just like, does a poem, does a song, like, and then I was standing by the light post and she looked at me with a cigarette in her mouth, and all these fucking hippies are like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, they weren't ready for Tom
Jody,
Waits.
I mean this with all due respect. You are the most 50 that you have ever been right this moment.
Yes.
You are pointing out
I don't give a shit.
70s Austin City Limits.
We
facts.
watched a movie from 1979, motherfucker.
Yeah, but you know what we don't regularly watch? Austin City Limits.
Yeah.
You know what we also don't regularly mention? Tom fucking Waits.
We did. This is a unique podcast.
It is also from the 70s.
So Tom Waits.
Yes.
And
The actor?
the director Walter Hill.
Okay.
They got into a bit of a thing. It may have started, this might be apocryphal, but this may have started because Walter Hill offered him a drink and Tom Waits declined. This started a 10-week buildup of tension to the point where one day in that subway scene, Walter Hill goes up to the stunt coordinator. I want you to pick somebody from the stunt crew that looks like Tom. I want you to get whatever wig you need, put him up in the clothes. I want a scene where he dies. I want a scene where his character's fucking killed. And so Tom Waits, the actor, was not on scene when Fox, his character, was killed and
he got wrote out
and was erased from the fucking movie.
So he got wrote out because the director didn't like him. You know that
scene where like the rogue breaks off and tells the Gramercy Riffs who shot Cyrus? That was supposed to be Fox. So you know how Fox and Mercy are there? Fox was supposed to be Mercy's love interest.
Yeah.
There was a scene where Swan gets captured by a gang called the Dingoes, who are all homosexuals.
Yes.
That was a whole other scene that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And because someone pissed off Walter Hill so much, they just killed the character and had to rewrite huge swaths of the rest of the movie.
That's why Swan gets with Mercy.
That's insane.
That's why that has to be just kind of like
the story that I heard is because the Mercy and Tom Waits didn't have any chemistry. But you know more than
another thing that was mentioned was also that Walter Hill liked the between Michael Beck and Deborah Van Valkenburg.
Another time she gets fucked up is when Swan goes to throw that bat at the cop. He hits her in the face with it, so they had to stop and give her stitches.
She got
fucked up for this movie.
Yeah, she did. So just one more quick thing. So the initial person that Hill wanted to play Mercy was Sigourney Weaver. And Sigourney Weaver had done a movie called Israel opposite Michael Beck. And that's how Michael Beck got the role of Swan in this movie. So that's a couple little extra things.
And Alien came out in 79, right?
I also read that originally Hill wanted the Warriors to be an all-black gang, and the studio shot that down because it's the 70s.
Yeah.
And he also wanted it to be like a near future thing. But they were like, this feels too much like Star Wars. We can't do that.
Yeah,
right.
Also, again, they wanted Orson Welles. He wanted Orson Welles to do this like opening that kind of tied it in with the Greek myths, especially with the story of Anabasis from Xenophon, and to kind of like bring this all together, like just the kind of themes that might be seen through there. And if you didn't know about Anabasis, you could also think this feels very Odyssey-like, like this very long, very treacherous voyage.
I could see that.
There. So Jody, what's your little extra for this movie?
Before I get to the extra from the movie, I think I mentioned earlier Escape from New York. That came out after the Warriors, and it kind of has that little bit of that feel. So I don't know if like Roger Corman's like, money.
Not Roger Corman.
Not Roger Corman.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Star Crash. Yeah. Escape from New York, very close. Nowhere near. So the guy who played Ajax, what was the actor's name again?
James Remar.
James Remar.
Who is a fantastic character actor.
Who is, except for in the second Mortal Kombat film where
Mortal
he played
Kombat Annihilation.
Where he played Raiden.
Who is Raiden in Mortal Kombat
I
Annihilation.
was trying to figure out where the fuck
You've seen him before,
and for some reason I would not click on his
because
his
people just keep thinking it's Christopher Lambert or
Christopher Lambert.
Lambert.
In order to win, the Emperor and his sorcerer Shang Tsung have to win 10 Mortal Kombats. They have won 9.
That was way better
the 10th
than
tournament.
The second one.
I don't think so.
The original Mortal Kombat movie is better than it has any right to be.
Oh, it's really good.
Yes.
And another thing is, I don't mention this briefly. Back in the days of when you saw like cinema and it was like on film and not digitized, different theaters got different cuts of the film. So sometimes, if you watched a movie in, say, Biloxi and watched Hannibal, you saw a boom mic shot during the kitchen scene with Ray Liotta that you might not have seen in the Mobile version. The version of Annihilation I saw showed the back of Motoro's second legs, and he was wearing sneakers.
So you somehow got a worse version of Mortal Kombat. Oh, man, I am sorry.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
There is no such thing as a worse version of Mortal Kombat. They're all the worst, no matter what changes you do.
Oh, man.
Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
Shao Kahn looked like he was a little under weight for his character.
You let him live?
Man.
Yes.
Oh, CGI dragon.
Oh yeah.
No.
I love how
Animality.
I love how the robots also had tattoos. What the fuck?
During production of that movie, Mortal Kombat 3, the video game, came out, and they were like, "Let's put in everybody."
Yeah. Yeah. Then that was in Mortal Kombat trilogy.
Yeah. They put in M. Bison. That didn't make any fucking sense. Yeah.
Raul Julia, what?
Okay. I don't want to talk about. We were talking about the Warriors,
and now we're talking about Mortal Kombat.
And
we were
feeling
talking
good.
about a good movie. And
we were feeling good, and now we're
worse.
just vomiting all over.
Well,
Mortal
I couldn't
Kombat
help it. The
Annihilation.
guy who played Ajax also played Raiden from the second Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a disappointing recap.
Yeah, we could have just said that. It's like, oh, this is very good, and then like talked about Mortal Kombat the original, and it would have been fine.
No.
It would be great.
Yeah.
No.
But yet the Warriors, I think everybody just around the board, check it out if you get a chance. To
There's a reason it's a cult classic.
There's
solid movie.
one question I have for the rest of us, and that would be, how many years would you think it would have to be before you go back and watch this movie again, Ethan? Would you go back to it in 5 years, 10 years? Would you watch it in a year and revisit the film?
I would probably watch it within the same year.
Within this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. The movie is extremely dated. Like it
of course.
It is set in the 70s.
You almost have to have a dictionary to figure out some of the stuff.
Like it's not to the point where I could watch it once and be done with it. Like I would not mind. Like even like if I watch it tomorrow, I would still be. I would still like it even if I saw it tomorrow.
How about you, Brady?
If I was hanging out with somebody and they were like, "Hey, let's watch The Warriors," I would be okay. I don't see myself necessarily going out of my way to
watch it again.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I think if I would have maybe watched it when I was a little bit younger, I probably would feel a lot stronger about it. Like I said, I'm not upset that I watched it, but I also am not lamenting the fact that it took me so long to watch it.
Well, I'm definitely I'm a kid of the 80s, and even though it was edited probably heavily for just some of the dialogue in it, nothing else really had to be edited out of television.
They might have edited Mercy's Pokies.
Well, I mean, for the most part, they didn't have to cut. They didn't have to cut a lot. With the exception of what Ajax.
You catty bitch.
That was very noticeable.
It was.
It was very cold on those New York streets.
It was. With the exception of Ajax dialogue, most of the dialogue isn't R-rated in that film.
This is true.
So there's not a lot they had to cut. They didn't. Yeah, there's hardly any blood whatsoever.
In fact, the one time when Rembrandt gets cut by the Lizzies, I didn't even notice that he got cut.
Yeah, Ajax gets a little blood on his face, and that's pretty much it. So I watched it on cable a couple of times back in the 80s, and it had been probably it's been over 20 years since I've seen the film. So when I watched it again, there were very small snippets that I remembered. So of course it was a good thing that I watched the whole film again because of what we were doing here tonight. But as far as going back to it, after seeing it fully after 20 plus years, I don't know when I'd get back to it. Again, I wouldn't disagree with watching it if I was in a group situation or whatnot. But as far as me voluntarily wanting to go out of my way to watch it, because there's so much media out there to consume new stuff and go back to old stuff. I can't honestly say when I would go back to it, but I wouldn't say that I won't go back to it, but I wouldn't have a time specifically for when that would be. Jay, what about you, man?
I could watch it 5 minutes from now.
Okay.
I could watch it before the end of this year. I think if anyone would say, "Hey, we're watching the Warriors," cool,
Right.
plop, all right,
Right.
Unless I had something more pressing to do, yeah.
And I think also, like, again, a group dynamic for watching any film kind of gives you a little bit more, experience there as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are pulling into the station, this fantastic omnibus of ours. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us through our huge, I won't say huge, but definitely a deep dive into the Warriors. We were very happy to present it to you. We're very happy to get a chance to watch one of the best movies of all time. Sort of,
movie.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
But yeah.
Very, very enjoyable.
We have a lot of thank yous and happies to deliver out. Let's start out with the most personal of all. Jody, tell us about Fearology.
Fearology, history of horror, personal experience. Just talking about mostly horror films, sometimes like anime and books of that nature. I've tried to record this last episode several times, and corruption has happened several times.
Oof.
So the episode will get uploaded when it gets uploaded. But yeah, it's on Spotify and Anchor. Yeah, Fearology.
Ethan, you've got Whiskey and Wrestling this week.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the silence of self-ins, but okay.
No.
I know exactly what the fuck he's doing.
Oh, okay. Whiskey and Wrestling.
I already fucked it up worse than you could. So
This is
like,
true. I can't do it any worse.
Yeah.
Jason Holder and Michael Hill, they go and talk about the whiskey of the week and the wrestling of the week. They talk about Raw, SmackDown, Rampage, and AEW Dynamite. Check them out. They're also available on Spotify, Google, Apple. Are they available on
Just about everywhere
Anchor?
that you can get.
I think
Yeah.
they're on Amazon.
Good
Yeah.
podcast listening to
They're
sites.
available on satellite. They're available on ham radio.
Yeah, ham
CB
radio.
radio.
Ham
Dish
radio.
Direct.
Dish Direct.
Whatever the thing you do for Morse code, they're on there too.
My
they're on-
reference is
if you
ham
want
radio.
if you want a telegraph transcript of their show,
Yeah.
For those that
ask them. They
Yeah,
might give it to
they
you.
might. Who
for our
knows?
psychic viewers, just imagine them.
Yes,
there you
yes.
go.
Just think really hard.
Again, Jason Holder, Michael Hill, Whiskey and Wrestling.
Brady.
Silence Your Cell Phones is a podcast by our friends Kevin and Jarrett. They talk about movies. The Supercast, they call themselves cinephiles.
Yes.
So they'll give you their opinions on movies. They may be pretentious, they may not. I don't know. They also do some stuff on YouTube, some live shows. Sometimes they do some watch-alongs. Check them out wherever you can get podcasts. That's the word.
I was hoping that I check them out wherever you can get podcasts and shit.
Podcasts, yeah. They talk about movies and shit.
There you go. There we go. Yeah. Our thanks very much to Greg Spanier and the entire crew at MacNarp Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi. Stop by right now to pick up Level Up in the various books in that for 5e Advanced or 5th Ed Advanced, otherwise Dungeons & Dragons 5th Ed Advanced. We are told that the Adventurer's Handbook in that is one of the best RPG books of this year, maybe of even this decade, as young as this decade is.
Everything I've seen online is very high praise about it, and everybody who I've spoken to at the shop who has used it has very high praise.
Cameron described the character building around it, and I'm very intrigued to play it.
Yes.
You know, Cameron Spanier, manager, direct at MacNarp Gaming, very well. But yes, boards, cards, and puzzles and shit.
Puzzles and
all,
shit.
all
Puzzles
of
and
them,
shit.
all of it available at MacNarp Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi. Thank you, Greg.
Thank
you, Greg.
It is going to be episode 20 next time, gentlemen, which means it's a divisible by 5, which means we're going to hit them with a
We're gonna hit the
chalkboard.
chalkboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next episode is going to be our top 5 songs of all time. One of us will have a magic bullet. I've been given the decision to choose who gets the magic bullet. We will figure that out in the episode itself. And I don't get to have one. I had one already. Someone else will get to have one.
I
So
think
we'll
that
get
should be a underlying thing. Like if you had one, you don't get another one like immediately after.
That's
At least after the.
That's why I
You
said
can't,
it.
you can't have back-to-back bullets.
No back-to-back
back-to-back
bullets.
Yeah, the judge can't give the bullet back to themselves. So there you
Yes.
go.
No
So, ladies and
back-to-back
gentlemen,
bullets.
Again, that'll be next time on Travelers on the
And
Omnibus.
the bullet giver and the receiver will give next time, huh?
Yes.
Yes. So
That's
for
how that works.
Yeah.
Brady Skinner,
For James Kite,
What?
Why'd you do this?
I thought you guys could rapid fire that
No,
one.
Barnaby Jones.
Wait, that's the rewind sound for James McCarthy.
For Ethan Skinner.
Barnaby Jones.
It's Brady Davis.
For Sprite Coca-Cola.
Dr. Pepper.
You have to combine two of them, goddammit.
I did Dr. Thunder and Dr. Pepper.
For Nerf Blaster Jones.
The Jenga tire.
The Jenga tire? That's why your tire blew out. It was made out of Jenga blocks.
Oh, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Do you
my
want to do this
God.
for reals?
James McCarthy.
Ethan Skinner.
Camp Onawana.
God damn it! We can't have real things.
Jesus Christ. So instead of saying my name, I'm going to read us out by listing the gangs that some were told, some were mentioned, and some were not mentioned from the Warriors.
Hey everybody, Future J from the future. And so initially, Brady had set it up with Ethan because Ethan was working the soundboard that night, that after about 5 or 10 names, Ethan was going to cut the recording and we wouldn't hear the rest of them. Jody and I would not stand for this. And so Brady, unfortunately, walked himself into a corner where he read off every gang name in the Warriors. Sorry, Brady. Not sorry.
We have the Alley Cats, the Amsterdam All-Stars, the Baseball Furies, the Black Hands, the Black Jacks, the Black Trains, the Boppers, the Boyle Avenue Runners, the Charlemagnes, the Colt 45s, the Dealers, the Delaney Rovers. I'm not going to stop. The Destroyers. There's like 100 of these. The E Street Blazers, the Easy Aces, the Electric Eliminators, the 8th Street Bombers / the 8th Street Apaches, the Fastballs, the 5th Street Bombers, the Fillmores, the Fire Tasters, the 5 Points, the Gerards, the Gladiators, the Go Hards, the Gun Hill Dancers, the Gramercy Riffs, a.k.a. the Riffs, the Hi-Hats, the High Rollers, the Homeboys, the Hoplites, the Howitzers, the Hucks, the Hurricanes, the Imps, the Jesters, the Jones Boys, the Judas Bunch, the Jupiters, the Knockouts, the Knuckles, the Lizzies, the Locos, the Magicians, the Meat Packers, the Mongols, the Moonrunners, the Napoleons, the Nickel Streaks, the Night Riders, the 9th Avenue Razors, the Orphans, the Panzers, the Phillies, the Plainsmans, the Punks, the Queensbridge Mutilators, the Real Boys, the Red Hook Shooters, the Roadmasters. This is not how this bit was supposed to go. The Rogues, the Romans, the Runaways, the Saracens, the Saratogas, the Savage Huns, the Shanghai Sultans, the Southern Cross, the Speedwagons, the Sports, the Stevedores, the Stilettos, the Stonebreakers, the Terriers, the Turks, the Turnbull ACs, the Van Cordlent Rangers, the Warriors, a.k.a. the Coney Island Warriors, the Whispers, the Xenophones, the Xylophones, the Yo-Yos, the Youngbloods, the Zodiacs, and the Zulus.
All right, boppers.
That's it. Bye-bye.